So in late 2025, I started playing through a lot of 2D Mario games, such as New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and I believe New Super Mario Bros. 2. In 2026, the intention is to play through all of the 2D Mario games, including some of the old classics like Super Mario Advance, Super Mario World, even games like Yoshi's Island. But today, I'm going to be playing through Super Mario Bros. 3. One of my all-time favorite games on GBA. I know this game originally didn't come out for Game Boy Advance, but it did get a remake with visual upgrades, and it's one of my all-time favorite games. The reason for this is because it's a game that goes way back to my early childhood. I have so many memories of this game, good and bad. I mean, heck, I even still own the cartridge for it. And this is the very same cartridge that I've had since, I would say, 2005 and onward, and it's one of the very few things that I actually own from such a long time ago, and I'm surprised that I still have it because I've lost so many things throughout the years, and the fact that I still have this cartridge, which is torn from here, which has been torn like this for since as far as I can remember, honestly. It's kind of crazy that I still have this. So in this video, like I said, I'm going to be playing through this game. It's a short, sweet adventure, and it's on Nintendo Switch Online. So for those of you guys who are paying for Nintendo Switch Online, you can actually play this game today if you would like. And I'm going to be just talking about my experiences with this game. I even beat it the other day, so maybe once every few moons. When I say few moons here, I mean like many moons, usually a year or two sometimes, before I come back and replay this game. It's gonna be a very short video, and by short I mean under 3 hours. You know, for me, 3 hours these days is like nothing. It's like a walk in the park for me. Before we get into it, guys, be sure to drop a like on the video, go grab yourself a snack, something to drink, sit back, relax, and enjoy the beautiful world here in the mushroom world known as Super Mario Bros. 3. Now, actually, these worlds have titles. So this title for World 1 is actually known as Grassland. That's what it is. I have them written down here because, you know, I'm not familiar with all the title names for each world. And there's a lot of enemies here that I'm not really familiar with. So hopefully I can remember them off the top of my head, because that would be great to be able to kind of talk about them. Here we have a red Goomba. It's actually a Paragoomba. They're kind of reddish in color, and they have wings. They don't actually fly. You would think they do. I feel like the Goombas and the Koopas here, the Paratroopas, they didn't excel completely in terms of like their flying skills, so that's why they kind of hop and flutter a little bit. But we have the Tanuki Leaf, which is essentially the staple item in this game. I absolutely love this game because of the Tanuki Leaf. I remember when I was younger, I wanted to be a pilot so bad because of the Tanuki Leaf. I always wondered what it would be like to just fly in the sky and just being able to see the world from beneath you when you're like all the way up there in the sky. And a lot of it was inspired because of Mario's Tanuki Leaf ability. The way he kind of like flings his arms when he's flying, he looks like a plane, you know, with his wings spread wide open. And I was just inspired from such a young age to be a pilot. Granted, I never became a pilot, so I mean, I didn't really live up to that expectation for myself, but still, you know, I gotta live out those fantasies in my younger age. So this game is very short. The levels in this game are very short, and it's crazy playing it back as an adult because I realized how easy this game is. When I was younger, this game really did feel challenging in a lot of ways. Like, there are some levels that I would get stumped in, and playing this on Nintendo Switch Online is in fact a much easier experience from playing it on the original GBA or playing it on the NES. The reason for that is because you have the rewind ability, which I will be using in this playthrough, because there's going to be a lot of moments, I'm sure, where I'm going to mess up on something, and instead of having to redo the level, I could simply just rewind. You know, I'm Echo from League of Legends, where he can rewind time to go back to the moment that he wants to go back to. Well, I mean, he has like kind of a limitation on how far back in time he could go, but with the rewind ability on Nintendo Switch Online, You can go back as far as you'd like, which is pretty nice. So this game also has little secrets hidden in each of the, not in each of the levels, but in some of the levels. And it's crazy how much of this game I still remember. I feel like, you know, when you experience something as a child, it really does stick with you compared to when you experience something as an adult. Like, I can play a game today and it could be a really good game for me. And honestly, a couple years after not playing it, a lot of it won't really stand out to me. Like, I'll remember bits and pieces here and there, but I would have to like actually play the game again in order to refresh my memory, whereas playing this game or any games from my childhood, they really do stand out. I could like jump back into a game like this and just the memories will come flooding in, and I'll remember like, oh, there's a secret in this level. I remember like, oh, this level had this challenging part and it stumped me here. So playing this game brings back all those memories, and it's just fascinating to me that I remember it very, very well. So the reason I said earlier that this game brings back good memories and bad memories was because I had this game and I experienced it for the first time when I was living in Egypt. Now, I lived in Egypt for like 4.5 years of my life. I was 11 years old when I moved to Egypt, and then I moved back to America when I was 16. And I gotta say, Egypt was like a mixed bag of emotions. I had a lot of bad times. I would say more bad times than I did good times there. The reason for that is because, you know, my parents, they had separated from each other when I was young. So me and my siblings, we ended up moving with our dad to Egypt. And my dad, he ended up getting remarried. And he ended up going back to America for work. So he ended up getting remarried, and then we ended up settling in Egypt and living with our stepmother at the time. And our stepmother was very strict in a lot of ways. So one of the things that she made sure to do away with when she first became our caretaker was she took away all of our video games. All of our video game consoles, we weren't allowed to play the games. We would only be able to play them on special occasions. And, you know, one of the games that I actually had when I was in Egypt was this game. I remember before my dad married my stepmother, there was this kid, he came from America too, he was visiting, and he had a Game Boy Advance. He also had a bunch of GBA games, and one of the games he had was this. And I remember I had a Nintendo DS at the time, and my DS, the hinge broke. So for those of you guys who've had the old school DS, which I'm sure many of you probably didn't have, many of you guys probably grew up playing the 3DS or the DSi, so you might not be able to relate to me, but I had the original Nintendo DS, the fat machine, and the hinge on that DS broke. I don't know how it broke, maybe just like mishandling it or something, but it broke, and I lost complete interest in wanting to keep it, especially because I didn't also have any DS games at the time when I was living in Egypt. I mean, I only had the Metroid Prime Hunters demo, which again wasn't anything crazy. I didn't have like Super Mario 64 DS, which is the reason I wanted to buy the DS. I had it for a little bit, and then I ended up getting rid of it. It's a long story. I talk about it in my Super Mario 64 DS playthrough that I recently just did on the channel. But anyways, moral of the story is this kid, he wanted my DS, and I was like, this is a perfect opportunity to trade it for him, to him. So he gave me a Game Boy Advance, and he also gave me a plethora of games in exchange for the DS. And one of the games he gave me was, in fact, this cartridge of Super Mario Bros. 3. I remember playing it when he was visiting, and I absolutely fell in love with the game. And I'm like, you know what? I'll trade you my DS for the Game Boy Advance and a bunch of games. It was a win for me because it's not like in Egypt I could buy Nintendo DS games. It was pretty much an obsolete machine for me to have. So I ended up experiencing this game and I fell absolutely in love with it. I mean, there was just a lot that reminded me of, like, you know, Super Mario 64, which was essentially like my favorite game of all time, because at the time, you know, like I think Mario is really what brought me into the world of gaming. Like, you know, as a kid being 4 or 5 years old, looking at the world of Super Mario 64, it just something made me like super obsessed with gaming and whatnot. So having a game that could kind of bring back those memories in a handheld form was just like the best thing in the world for me. It was this thing that I guess brought me the most comfort, especially being in a foreign country without my parents being there really. And you know, this game has like not voice acting, but Mario has sound. So for example, when Mario picks up an item, he does his typical gotcha Mario sound, or you know, when he gets hurt, I believe he does a sound. Like, not many sounds, but you know, he has some sounds, you know. And then obviously the worlds are obviously really, really nice. So you know, I had this game for a little bit, fell absolutely in love with it. Me and my brothers were always like playing it, seeing how far we can get. And you know, I remember memorizing like all the card flip mini games. I knew exactly how to like play them, and it was like super cool. Like I was just super addicted to this game. So when my dad eventually ended up marrying my stepmom, like I said, he ended up having to leave the country because he needed to come back to America for work purposes. He couldn't just stay with us in Egypt. He couldn't find a job in Egypt. It's not like, you know, if he stayed in Egypt, he would have gotten a good paying job. So I think one of his reasons for moving us to Egypt was, you know, for him to be able to find somebody who could take care of us, and at the same time be able to come back to America and work, because at the time, if you were working in America or outside of Egypt and then you sent money to Egypt, you were actually making really good money. So for him, the US dollar translated really well when it came to the Egyptian pound. So it was just like a strategic financial move for him. And then he's like, you know, from it, these guys could go to school in Egypt, they could learn the Arabic language, you know, and all that good stuff. He had a master grand plan for us. But like I said, he ended up marrying my stepmom, and you know, at first everything was good. Like it was decent for the first like month or two. She kind of let us do what we wanted. You know, we got to play our games. We had our Nintendo GameCube. Everybody had their like little handheld Game Boy, which was really nice. So we were just obviously addicted to gaming. It's not like there's anything else we could do out there other than play in the deserts and the streets. It's not like we really mingled with the kids because we didn't really speak Egypt or Arabic like that. Everybody knew we were foreigners. They always bullied us, picked on us. It just wasn't the best of experiences. And then there came a time where school began, and my stepmom had this new regimen that she wanted to implement in terms of disciplining us. And one of the things was she's taken away all of our consoles, all of our handheld machines. And I remember my older brother and my younger brother, Zelda Master, at the time were very resistant to it. Now, I'm a guy that usually follows the rules just to maintain peace, you know what I'm saying? At the time, I knew like, hey guys, we're in this country, we're alone, we don't have parents or family like that we could run to. So if anything bad happens to us, we're kind of screwed. So we kind of have to work together and cooperate. So I would cooperate just for the sake of maintaining peace. But my older brother and my younger brother, these guys were kind of resistant to the whole thing. And eventually, you know, they had to submit to the rules because they were just kids like me. You know, I was 11, Luke was 10 at the time, my older brother was 12, he was still prepubescent. So it's not like, you know, we were just like weaklings. And then, you know, my fourth younger brother, he was like, I don't know, 7 or 8, and then my youngest brother at the time was like 5. So I have 4 siblings, so we're a total of 5. And you know, we just kind of, me and my 2 youngest brothers, we just kind of went with the flow. Luke and my older brother were resistant. They didn't like the whole taking the games away, but eventually they ended up having to go with it. And it was horrible because at first we thought like, okay, on weekends we'll be able to play these games. But turns out we weren't allowed to play them at all, even on weekends. We had to go through the whole school year without playing them. And it was just, it was very like traumatic, you could say, for us, because you're talking about kids who literally were obsessed with playing Nintendo games. That's what we did. It's not like my parents really, like when my parents were together, they sat with us and helped us do our schoolwork and, you know, communicated with us. They were just the kind of parents that let us just do whatever we wanted to do, which is why we were kind of really bad in school. They were caretakers, but when it comes to like parenting, they were very negligent. And, you know, as an adult, a 32-year-old adult, obviously I could realize their mistakes. Now, I don't say this to bring shame on them or to kind of slander them. That's not my intention here. Obviously, I'm just trying to relate my upbringing and give you guys a better understanding of like why this game meant so much to me. But when we did get the opportunity to finally play these games, this was my go-to game. Like, there were periods where my stepmother would allow us to play, you know, video games, and she would give us our Game Boys and she would let us play the GameCube again, and it would be like the best time in the world because, you know, you went from being deprived for so long after being after having the ability to play as much as you want, when you want, without any guided supervision, to then being completely deprived, to then being able to play. It's like, you know, giving an addict to drugs again. You know, you make them withdraw for a while and then you bring back the drugs, and then that first experience he has after a long period, it just hits at a different level, you know? And that's exactly what this was for me. And playing this game was just like so special. So I remember one time, you know, she let us play, and obviously after our allotted time that we were allowed, we had to give everything back up, which was a horrible day. It was like the worst day for us when we'd have to give it back up. I decided that I was not gonna give her the cartridge of this game. So I decided that I'm actually just gonna hold on to the cartridge. She didn't know, obviously she's not like inspecting the cartridges. I don't think she was really understood like how these games worked and whatnot. But I held on to the cartridge and I kept it with me, and it was like a little trinket that I always had with me 24/7. It was always in my pocket, and anytime I felt stressed, anytime I felt anxious, I would always just pull the cartridge out and I would just look at it. I would just stare at it. And knowing that I had it on me just gave me so much comfort. It's weird. It's like, I guess like a little kid with a plushie, you know? You see little kids with their plushies, and the reason they are so attached to their plushies is because it grants them some type of relief and comfort. That's exactly what this game did for me. Anytime I felt any type of way, whether I was in school, whether I was at home, whether I was, you know, just by myself in the streets, going on a walk or whatever it may be, running errands, this game was always in my pocket. And I think that's why the cartridge got a little beat up. It looks obviously very worn out compared to like my other cartridges. And then when eventually I would be able to play the Game Boy or any games in general, I would, you know, play this game. This was my go-to game, and my brothers as well. You know, I obviously wanted them to experience this game, especially like my youngest brother. He wasn't like much of a gamer, but this game, I remember having so many good memories with him. We played it a lot together, and you know, it was just very special. Like, those are just very special memories for me, and I hold them near and dear to my heart, especially since, like I said, my whole experience in Egypt was just not a good thing. Like, obviously, you know, not being amongst your parents while you're in a foreign country is actually like very detrimental for a child's development and safety and whatnot, you know? Like, it's like you could say we were kind of orphans without being orphans. Like, our parents were both alive, but we were orphans in the sense that we didn't have our parents in our lives at all. Like, my mom was very estranged to us. We never really talked to her at all. She didn't really call us or anything like that. It was also back in the day when, you know, emailing and whatnot was just so new, and, you know, internet was still considered like a very new concept for like communication, that like we didn't even communicate using the internet because we didn't even have internet like that. We didn't even have a computer. I mean, at some point we did. Our dad, he got us a laptop, which again was, you know, under strict supervision, and everybody had an allotted time to like use the computer, and we'd have to use it under, you know, supervision. And it's not like the internet speeds were good enough where we could technically get onto YouTube and watch YouTube videos. We didn't really know much about that stuff, you know. So it was a very strange time for sure. It was like when the internet was still like coming about and whatnot. And our dad, he was just like, you know, he was going to America. He'd stay for like, you know, 4 to 6 months at a time, and then he'd come back for like a month. And then when he would come back, he would bring us like candy and clothes, and, you know, bring us some video games. But again, we were very limited to like what we would get because, you know, obviously my dad, he's bringing things for 5 kids and his wife, and then he has to also pack luggage for himself. So it was just a lot. So you knew that you were kind of limited in what you were allowed to get. And especially with like us, like we grew up, we didn't really have like much money like that. You know, I always remember in my life being the poor kid and whatnot. It was just something that I was just so used to in my life, you know, like, oh, like we're just the poor kids, you know what I'm saying? it is what it is. You know, everybody is dealt a different hand in life and whatnot. And honestly, like, all of my life experiences in Egypt did shape me to become the person that I am. So obviously I wouldn't take it back for anything. I don't look back at any of that stuff and be like, oh, you know, like, I feel bad for what we've been through and whatnot. Granted, you know, there was very oppressive situations, you know, because in Egypt, you know, it's pretty normal for you to beat your children. Like, and I would say, like, not to slander Egyptians like that, because, like, you know, they're my people, but I can definitely say, like, you know, there's a lot of, like, backwardness when it comes to, like, you know, parenting, when it comes to, like, Egyptian households. A lot of people, they just don't know how to treat their kids like equals or like human beings. They just look at them as like property, or they look at them like, I'm older than you, so therefore I know better and I know best, and you're gonna listen to me even if they're wrong. There's always like that egotism where, like, you can't talk to me like that, you can't tell me. So it's like you have to kind of go with the flow. So, you know, you put that power in somebody's hands. Obviously, if they kind of have a not a sound heart, guess what's gonna happen? Ultimately, it's going to corrupt them. You know, it's gonna reach a point where that person ends up becoming, you know, power hungry, and, you know, things will just get out of hand. And it did. It got to a point where, you know, my youngest brother, he ended up like running away from home. And that was essentially like the reason why we ended up coming back to America, is because my younger brother, he ran away from home. And when he ran away from home after like 4 years, due to, like, you know, a lot of the, you could definitely say, oppression that he had to experience, and we all were kind of experiencing it. And, you know, when I say oppression, I mean, like, you know, just, yeah, like emotional, physical abuse, psychological abuse, all that kind of stuff. It was pretty bad. And, you know, he ends up running away after some time. Like, he was like, I think not like 10 or 11 years old, and then this thing became a huge deal. Like, it became like a massive thing. My mom's side of the family found out, and they had like ties in Egypt, family members in Egypt, and this became like a huge deal, which blew up amongst our family. It was like the biggest scandal of our family, and it was essentially the pivoting moment in our lives where this was our gateway out back to America. It was so crazy. And I just remember, like I said, like this game, the whole 4.5 years that I was there, all the bad times that I had to endure and experience, this was that game that honestly, like, just brought me so much happiness and comfort. And it's just crazy, like, when I play this game today, I have so many mixed feelings, like memories of it. And it's a game that, like, I'll never not play just because of like the feelings it induces. If anything, it's like, it gives me so much gratitude for like being able to endure what I endured. And, you know, it gives me also so much love and respect for my brothers who also endured what we had to endure. And believe me, I am sugarcoating everything when I say this. I'm not trying to like sit here trauma dumping in this video, because that's not the point of this video. This video is meant to be a fun video of me experiencing this game, but I just wanted to like be able to kind of open up and just kind of crack the window a little bit for you guys to have like a better understanding of, like, you know, just like what it is like this game means to me, at least. And, you know, it's a game that, again, like, all my brothers have played and beaten, except I don't know about my brother Luke, Zelda Master. I don't know if this was his thing, but I know my other siblings, like my younger siblings, my older brother, they all played this game, and I think they thoroughly enjoyed it, especially my younger brother. My younger brother, he was like a little kid at the time. Like I said, he was 5, you know, and I was like 11, so he was still in that cute toddler phase. And, you know, just seeing him play this game, it was just so fun, and watching his experiences and his reactions to this game was just awesome. And he was really good at it too, you know. I was always like surprised. I'm like, bro, you're a little kid, you're good at this game too. And one thing that I remember very well was that when it came to these card mini games, he memorized them all, and I was always so fascinated, because I'm like, bro, how do you know? Anytime I would get to these card mini games before I started memorizing them, I would just like hand it off to him. I'd be like, yo, can you do this? And then I'd watch him, like, you know, he'd do it, and I'd be like, bro, how do you know this? It's so crazy. And then I'd end up getting like all the items, which was really nice. So You know, and as an adult, obviously, I don't have any of this stuff memorized. So what I'm doing here is I'm just essentially rewinding, which is gonna take a lot of time, you know, because as you can see, I don't know exactly where any of this stuff is. Look at that. I'm just gonna keep messing up. But, you know, at some point, I'm probably gonna land the mushroom. What is it? That's the star. Okay, well, I already know where the 2 stars are. That's the 20 coins. Okay, so I know where the 2 stars are. Where's this mushroom, bro? Okay, here's the mushroom. All right, and then this here is gonna be the stars. Okay, perfect. And then let's see what this one, this is the 10 coin. I think the other 10 coin was here. No, that's a mushroom right there. Okay, what about this one? That's a 1-up. Nope, we don't want that. Let's see, was this a 10 coin? Nope, that's the fire. That's actually the fire flower. You would think it's the ice flower, but it's not. The ice flower doesn't exist in this game, but for some reason it's colored blue, which I never understood. But I guess that's how it was back in the day. Bro, I'm literally hitting every single one of these. You're telling me I can't find the 10 coin's gonna be here. It has to be. Bruh! There's no way. So the 10 coin is this? That's the 20 coin. I swear, have I not hit all of these? Bro, there's no way. Where is this stupid 10 coiner? Bro, am I like hitting every single one of them except whatever the 10 coin is? This is crazy. What? Absolutely no way. I'm going through them one by one, and as you can see, I'm struggling massively here. What is going on, bro? How is this real? Like, I cannot believe this. Finally, what was that? That was like the worst, the slowest experience. I'm only gonna do this once in this video, by the way. I'm not gonna do this twice. Anytime I do this mini game, I'm going to just cut it because, as you can see, this is like a brutal experience to try to like figure them all out. Like, I need to focus on this and give my absolute 100% concentration to be able to clear this properly. Was this the 20 coin? No, that wasn't the 20 coin. Where the 20 coin was up here, right? Nope, that was the mushroom, of course. Like, it would be nice to be able to get a smooth run. Okay, so that's the mushroom up there. This is the star. Duh, of course. Of course, I would end up picking not the star. There we go. I don't even know how long this segment was. Probably like 5 minutes just to get some items. But that's the cheap way to do it. And as you can see, there's another one of these cards here. I wonder if I click... Okay, so I can't jump back to a previous world unless I've beaten the game. And then you also have these thingies right here, which I actually love. This was one of my favorite things about this game, is to try to like match up the image. And I was also really good at it. Let's see if I can get it. Yep. And then let's try to get the star. There we go. Come on, we got it. We got it. We got it. No, I was like a little too late. Okay, here, let's try this. I think I gotta like click a little bit after. Oh no. Okay, whatever. I want to get the 1-ups. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Yeah, we got it. We got the 5 1-ups. So anytime at the end of the level, when you get one of the item panels, if you get 3 stars in a row, you get 5 1-ups. And then for this mini game, as you can see, it kind of turned into a heart at the very end. If you win that, you also get something. Oh, right here. I think the panels will change, or maybe they'll give me more 1-ups. Oh yeah, so it's more 1-ups this time. And then we have a tanuki leaf instead. Okay, that's the mushroom, whatever. I'll take it. Let's see. All right, one more. There we go. We got it for sure. Yeah, baby. But I mixed up the fire flower and the tanuki leaf. Still, I got the 2 1-ups. I wonder if it's gonna change again. It does. Okay, perfect. So it just changes the different like shapes, like cards. Anyways, here we have the pyramid. I didn't go into this with an item, but it is what it is. Super easy game. I'm not gonna need an item for this, and if I do, you know, just simply rewind. So here we have the beetles. This was probably a level that I thought was difficult, but I mean, it's one of those games that when you play it, the more you play it, the easier it becomes. It would have been nice, honestly, to go into this level with a tanuki leaf. Oops. But it is what it is. I think in order... Oh my gosh. Okay, well, that's why I said there's gonna be a lot of rewinding here. See, trying to jump on this while I'm going uphill is actually quite difficult. But you can pick up shells in this game, which is pretty nice. And then you can also slide underneath blocks, which is very convenient because it's something that we're gonna be doing later on in the game, especially... Oh, I need another one of these beetles. Okay, hold up, beetle, hold up, beetle! I need you! Oh, no! Okay, well, what am I gonna do now? Is there another one that spawns? Hopefully there is. Okay, perfect. There is. Alright, there we go. And then we could just slither under there. But, oh no! Okay. Let's do this. There we go. Oh well, whatever, you know, I'm not gonna be that guy to rewind every single time I get hit. That would be annoying at this point. My intention was to not want to use this rewind feature, but I feel like I can't help myself. I have to. Oh, there's coins here, nice. P coins with the blue coins, but as you can see, the blue coins in this game are useless. They only give you one singular coin. Nope, not today, Boomerang, bro. Not today. So it's funny seeing like how all of the enemies looked like in this game as well, because they kind of have, like today they have the same look as they do in modern Mario games, but with obviously they just look more polished. Here we also have a P-Wing, which is essentially a Tanuki leaf with infinite flying power, only for the level that you use it in, and this comes in handy. I think we get a bunch of these simply from these castles, and as you can see, every time you enter a castle, a toad is crying out for help because the king has been transformed, and at the end of each castle, you end up on an airship. It's funny because they're all technically castles, but I guess like they're also airships, which is weird. So I guess, oh, you start at the castle grounds and then the airship takes you. I get it. And it's a nice reference to see in New Super Mario Bros. U, because in New Super Mario Bros. U, after you reach the end of any castle, you end up flying, or I guess catapulting, using a cannon to an airship, which will take you to that Koopa specifically's airship. And you end up fighting the Koopling there. And I don't know, I mean, I think it's a throwback to this game. I think this is the game where it originated in. I don't remember the Kooplings being in the previous Mario 2D title. This is probably the first one, but this definitely has a very nice visual enhancement compared to the SNES version. I think it was on the SNES. I never played it on its original console. Like I said, the first time I played it was on GBA, and it was, like I said, in Egypt. So this was technically my first, well, there was actually another 2D Mario experience that I had. I think it was the original Mario Bros. For the NES. That one was not a good experience for me, I'll be honest, because I was coming from games like Smash Bros. 64 and Super Mario 64 and Mario Kart 64, so going to like an old school NES with like, oh, this is Morton, by the way, going for like an old school NES and like with the NES controller, it just felt so outdated for me. And I guess that's probably how a lot of kids feel like today when you try to tell them go back and play an N64 game. They're like, oh, the graphics are so bad. I can't play this game and enjoy it. This isn't for me. I'd rather play my Switch and experience a fun HD version of Mario. This is Mario, by the way, if he was an old man. Look at him. That is definitely Mario. A little bit of alopecia there, but with the long hair growing out in the back, the mustache, look at him. That is totally Mario. The same nose, the same too. Mario, is this your dad? And at the end of every single one, Peach sends us a letter. The white block contains magic powers that will enable you to defeat your enemies. I have enclosed a jewel that helps protect you. Princess Toadstool. It's a cloud. And at the end of every world, you can either get world clear or perfect clear. If it's a perfect clear, that means you've essentially 100% of the world, meaning you've completed all the levels within that world. And of course, it's not a 2D Mario game unless there's water levels. Now, I remember being in Egypt, and one time my dad, he came back from America. He was visiting us, and he brought with him a Nintendo DS Lite, and he also brought with him Pokemon Emerald and New Super Mario Bros. DS. And guess what? He gave it to my brother. Well, it wasn't really his choice. He got it for us, but then my stepmom, because she had favoritism, and for some reason she always wanted to bring, I think she was like always trying to like get my brother to like soften up to her, because my older brother was resistant to her, like I said. So she would like do this thing where she would give him like, you know, privileges over us. So she allowed him to be the one who owned the Nintendo DS Lite with New Super Mario Bros. And Pokemon Emerald. And then my dad also got us a Motorola Razr that she also gave to him. And I was just like, I felt so cheated, because I'm like, bro, how come he got all the good stuff and I get nothing? But obviously my older brother, he was kind enough to let me play the Nintendo DS and experience New Super Mario Bros. DS. And that was what I would say is the first 2D Mario game outside of this one and the original Mario Bros that I got to experience. And to me, that was a magical adventure because you had the dual screen, you obviously had the 3-star coins in each level. The graphics on that were so amazing, especially coming from a game like this, and I was just like mind blown at the time. The game was quite challenging. You had new power-ups. I believe like the ice flower, the mini mushroom, the mega mushroom, which I really enjoyed. And, you know, it was a game that we played to exhaustion, you know. I remember like putting in so many hours into that game, me and my brothers, and a game that I played so many times, a game that I was actually really good at. And it was nice to like have that game as well and experience like the newest, the latest and greatest handheld 2D Mario game. Obviously, my brother, he was like at the time like super obsessed with Pokemon Emerald, and it's a good thing that the DS Lite allowed you to play your GBA games because he put in hundreds of hours on that thing with his GBA, which was, you know, obviously really nice. But yeah, I remember that happened, and you know, it was really cool, and it made me really want Super Mario 64 again. I remember like my dream was to have a Nintendo DS with Mario 64 when I was living in Egypt. I remember always thinking to myself, when I grow up and I become an adult, I'm gonna buy a DS and I'm gonna buy Mario 64. And I was like, no matter how old I get, I will never not want that. Like, it was something that like I would be just, you know, in school and I'd be looking at this cartridge and I'd be thinking to myself that one day when I grow up and I have money, I'm gonna buy a DS and I'm gonna buy the Mario 64 and I'm gonna play it and enjoy it. I'm gonna take it everywhere I go. No matter what happens in life, I'm gonna do this. It was like a promise to myself. And I'd always like look at the cartridge too, and I'd like look at the little sticker. Like if you look at like the little sticker on it, I'd always imagine like if this was a screen and it had like the L and R buttons and whatnot. And I was like, how cool would it be if like you could play Game Boy games at a micro scale like that? And little did I know that the Game Boy Micro was a thing. The Game Boy Micro at the time had, before when we had moved to Egypt, it wasn't a thing. But I think it came out, I believe, in 2005. So we had already like moved to Egypt, I believe. Like, I don't exactly remember when the Game Boy Micro came out, but I could tell you for a fact that it wasn't a thing when we were still in America, because I think I would have definitely wanted it. I've always been a sucker for small tech, and the Game Boy Micro was just like the dream machine when I found out of its existence. But I always would just imagine like being able to play this game and, you know, like just on the GBA cartridge itself. And it's just crazy that I still have this thing today. You know, it's definitely very beat up. Like, I look at it compared to like my other GBA cartridges and I'm just like, I can't believe this thing is still here. And I just can't, I honestly just don't even know how it lasted so long with me. Like I said, like I've had so many things, you know, throughout the years. Like, just, I want you to do a little exercise with yourself right now. I want you to just think about an item you had, right, that you were obsessed with or that you cherished for your whole life and that you kept with you, you know, for not your whole life, but for as long as you possibly could. And where is it today? A lot of us could say like things from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, even a few years ago, I don't have. I'm just like, you know, I had a lot of amiibo, I had a lot of cool little trinkets here and there. I just don't know where they went. It's just all missing. And maybe because I'm just like not taking it seriously, or it doesn't really mean that much to me. It just kind of got lost in translation with moving and whatnot. I moved a lot throughout the years, so it just probably was one of those things that I just lost pretty much during my many moves. But this, for some reason, is one of the things that I've held on to, and I don't think it was really intentional. I think I had it somewhere hidden, kept in a safe spot, and it just kind of always followed me like throughout the world wherever I went. But it is kind of like poetic, like how much this thing meant to me as a kid, you know, prepubescent me And I'm 32 years old today looking at this thing, and I'm just like, I can't believe it's been on so many journeys with me. I'm almost positive this is the same one, because I don't want to say definitively it is, but I can tell you for a fact that my cartridge did have a rip right there, the exact same tear in the exact same spot. And I could say almost for certainty, I do not recall ever buying this game again, ever. The only games that I remember buying on GBA were literally Minish Cap. I have 2 physical copies of that, Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, Final Fantasy Dawn of Souls 1 and 2, because that was a game that I absolutely loved and I played the crap out of when I was in Egypt. I don't exactly remember how we got, I think my dad, yeah, he bought us that game. He bought it for like me and my brothers to share, but my 2 younger brothers obviously were not like into RPGs like that, but me and Luke and my older brother, we absolutely fell in love with that game and we played the crap out of it. And I think fortunately each game has like 3 files, so it worked out perfectly. We would just take turns, and that was kind of like the beauty of it. Like gaming with my brothers was like, you know, we had like 2 Game Boy SPs, we had a Game Boy Advance, and one of the Game Boy Advance that I actually used, or the one that I traded my DS for, got stolen, which was it was just a nightmare for us when we were moving from like a village that we were first living in when we moved to Egypt to like a bigger city which had like the private school that we were going to be going to and whatnot. It was like, I think an hour away from, or maybe like 40 minutes away from the village that we were in when we first moved to Egypt. One of the movers, he ended up pocketing it. He stole it, you know, and there was nothing that we could do about it. It was just unfortunate. We just lost it and it was just like gone from us. We were just 1 console down. So we had 2 Game Boy Advances and then a Nintendo DS, which was pretty nice. And we would just kind of alternate between that. So like whenever we did have game time, some of us would be playing the Game Boys, and then the rest of us would be playing the GameCube. The GameCube though, however, when we were there, it unfortunately started running into a lot of problems. A lot of the discs, for some reason, would just get really scratched up, and when the disc would get scratched, it wouldn't properly read. So there were like games that just wouldn't play at all on the Nintendo GameCube. And then what else was there that was causing the GameCube issue? Oh, it was the laser. So you know how like when you put a disc in the GameCube, the laser has to run and read the disc. So the laser started getting messed up. And again, I don't know what it was. Maybe because we were like always constantly switching out the games. Like, you know, if you have like multiple siblings playing on one console who are all game obsessed, obviously I guess that's bound to happen. So wow, first try. I mean, that's awesome. I can't believe it. I gotta remember, that's where the 1-up is, that's where the mushroom is, the 20 coiner is. Okay, I gotta speak this to myself. That's the 1-up is there. Okay, we're gonna do the 1-up. We're gonna do the 1-up real quick. Okay, so this was the mushroom, this was the star. No, that was the 20 coiner. Okay, so this is the 10. I honestly don't know where the 10 is. Oh, we got it. Wow, amazing. Okay, this is the 20. This is the 20. Nice, cool. This is the mushroom. I think this is the mushroom. Awesome. And then this was a flower. Yep, the fire flower. Great. So the GameCube, like I said, it was starting to go to crap, and it was very, very sad for us because, you know, we had like Sonic Adventure DX, we had Sonic Adventure Battle 2, or I guess it's called Sonic Battle 2. I think we had Sonic Heroes, we had Smash Brothers Melee, but that game went to crap. I remember like we had the game, it just never worked, and there would be times where I would like put it in the GameCube and me and my brothers would just be praying to God, please let it work, but it would never work. It was so sad, man. And we also had like, I don't remember what else we had, to be honest. We had Paper Mario, yeah, we had the 1,000-Year Door. That was actually a really clutch game, but I think we ended up trading that in with one of our, for like a different game to one of our friends, or either that game stopped working because again, like, I remember playing it a lot when we first moved to Egypt, but there was definitely a period midway through and towards the end where we just never played that game, and I'm assuming it's either we traded it for something else or we ended up simply just the disc just ended up just not working. But there was a period where the GameCube just completely stopped working and nothing would play on it whatsoever, and that was a very, very like dark time for us in Egypt because we were just then limited to our 2 Game Boy SPs. And my brother, he had a Game Boy SP, my younger brother, and his Game Boy SP, the backlit screen stopped, the backlit light just stopped working on it completely. And it was just rough because, you know, now we were kind of limited to 1 Game Boy if we wanted to play it at night. And my brother obviously had his DS. My older brother, hey, look at this. This is Spike. Look how he looked. He actually looks exactly the same. Just, you know, more adulty. Okay, well, you know, I actually gotta do it like this to avoid them. Very nice. But one thing that I will say, which was like a huge moment for us in Egypt, was that one time my aunt, this was like early on, I think this was year 2 that we were there, she came to visit us for the summer. And my grandpa, he's like a really well-respected figure in Egypt. He worked for the US government here, and you know, he had a lot of wealth. And this is my mom's dad, and he had a lot of property in Egypt. And you know, he would come visit Egypt just, I guess, for family purposes. And you know, he was born and raised there. So whenever he would visit, you know, he was like the GOAT of grandpas. Like, he took good care of us when we were kids, you know, always a happy guy, always bringing us gifts and whatnot, always giving us money. You know, whenever he was around when we were kids, like, there was just light in our lives, in our house. And obviously he kept that energy too. So when he knew that we were moving to Egypt, you know, he was like, out of all of our family members, the only one who genuinely like asked about us and cared about us. So anytime he would be visiting Egypt, he would always like have us come stay with him in like Alexandria, or in his home village. It's known as Banha, and that's where like he grew up. He was raised there. And, you know, he had money, bro. He had a lot of money. So it was nice. Like, you know, when we'd go visit him, he'd be giving us like money like every day, just giving us like £100 each, you know, like any opportunity he had to just spoil us, he would definitely do so. So one time, you know, my aunt came with him, and she visited Egypt, and she brought with her Xbox, and she had Fable the Lost Chapters for the Xbox. She also had, I think she had wrestling for the Xbox. I'm almost positive, because I don't know how we got a copy of WWE 2004. I honestly don't know, but that was a game we abused as well. But one of the nicest things she's ever done is she left her Xbox. She allowed us to keep it. She's like, you guys could keep it. You know, I think she felt bad for us and our living conditions, and she was just like, yeah, like, you know, must suck to be you guys. Here, you guys can have the Xbox. She obviously gave us Fable. I don't remember what other games we had outside of Fable, but Fable was just like the game of choice that we were all obsessed with. And then she also left us a copy of her book, The Chronicles of Narnia. And I wasn't a guy that read, and I never really read books, but being in Egypt and, you know, reading that book out of boredom was like the first time, like, it was like that awakening moment, you know. It's like in that scene in Ratatouille where the guy, you know, eats the meal that the rat cooked up, and then the moment he puts it in his mouth, it's just like he just is taken aback, and floodgates of memory floods his mind from his childhood. That's exactly what it was like for me when it came to like reading a book. I was just like lost in a whole different world reading The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And I was like, whoa, I love reading. Reading is magical. Like, it's an escapism. And it was like just a movie playing out in my head, in my imaginations. And I was like, I finally get why people read books. You know, I used to like always wonder, like, why would you read a book when you could play a game? There's this kid in my class when I was in elementary school, and he would read the Harry Potter books over and over and over again. And I was just like, bro, something's wrong with this guy. Like, no matter how many times in the school year, he's always reading the Harry Potter books. I just never understood. I'm like, why don't you play video games? But that wasn't his thing. He wasn't a gamer. You know, for us, we played games, we played Yu-Gi-Oh cards. That was just like our thing, you know. Yu-Gi-Oh was massive amongst all the kids in my school, at least. We'd come to school with our decks readied up, you know. We'd be playing, dueling each other in recess, trading cards. It was just like the best thing in the world. Whereas this kid, he would just like to sit and read Harry Potter. He would read one book, go to the next. Once he finished them all, he would then restart the whole book series again and again and again. And you know, I finally got it. I was like, oh, okay, I understand why that kid, you know, always loved reading books, because he probably got lost in the world of it. And then I'm like, I can't imagine like reading a book and being so passionate about it, like a book series, and then ending up like having to like, or ended up like watching the movies as they come out. Like how incredible that must feel, like being able to like compare like your imagination of reading the book to like the actual like movie when watching it on a big screen. And I remember like when I came back to America and I found out they had made a movie for the Chronicles of Narnia, I was like really surprised. I was like, yo, I actually want to see this movie. I don't think I ever got to see the movie. Maybe one day I will. But yeah, it was pretty crazy, like how I was like, wow, like you could, like reading books is awesome, you know. And it took boredom for me to finally realize how much I actually enjoy reading books, and I never thought I would enjoy reading them. I want to go to that little island to get an item from there. I'm gonna just skip over this. See, when you land on one of these card things, you just kind of have to do it. You're not able to skip. Ooh, whoa, it might be my lucky day. Ooh, there's no way. Okay, jinxed myself. Okay, so I know where the star is, the coin is. Nope. Okay, now I feel like I'm compelled to do this. I feel like I have to do this. What was that? This was the mushroom. Yeah. Oops. What else? That's the star. I think this was the star? Nope, that was a 20 coin. Was this the star? Yeah, that was the star. Okay, so where's the one up? That's another fire flower. I'm gonna say this is the fire flower. That's a star right there. Okay, so where's the other fire flower? Nope, that's the 10 coiner. So I know where the other coin is. That's another star right there. Okay, what about this? Nope, that's the one up. Okay, it has to be one of these two. That's the, oh my god. See, I had a good streak going on, and then now I absolutely killed it. So I think this is the 10 coin. Yep. Okay, what about this? This is gonna be the one up. Nope, that's the 20 coiner. Where's the one up? Was this the one up? Yeah, that's the one up. So that's the 10 coin right there. So I have a chance. Oh, that's the 20. Oh, it was the 20. What am I saying? I for some reason thought it was the 10. But I already had the 10 activated. Okay, I'm not gonna do this anymore. I know 3 times I've said I wasn't gonna do it, but here I am doing it. It's crazy. Do I even have? I do have a hammer. Do I want to use it though for that mushroom house? Probably not. Look at that. I'm almost maxed out on items, so I think I'm actually good. I really don't need to get over there, I guess. You know, we'll just leave them. You know, let the toads keep their items. I know they're waiting. This is their whole lifelong mission, is waiting for Mario to come so then they could give me an item. They're waiting to be of help, and I appreciate that, toads, but I don't need it. So, we had the Xbox. Fable: The Lost Chapters, a game me and my 2 brothers love to play. Oh, and I forgot, we also had A Link to the Past. So that game is also a really special game for me because we had it. And again, I don't remember how we had it. I honestly don't exactly recall if it was something my dad had brought with him, or if it was a game that was gifted to us. But we had A Link to the Past, and that was like an amazing game. I always played that game and I was just like kind of depressed, wanting the Minish Cap. I spoke about this in my Minish Cap playthrough that I recently did. I had the game when I was living in Egypt, but my dad ended up buying me like a faulty cartridge. It was used, didn't come in a box, so obviously I figured my dad probably bought it off eBay or something just to save some money, and then, you know, I ended up getting like a faulty cartridge that wasn't real because I ended up like comparing the actual cartridge to the official cartridge, and it turned out to be like a different sticker entirely on the one that I had. So the game never would save. It would just always, the file would always get corrupt anytime you would save the game and like turn off the Game Boy and then like restart the game or load it up again. It would just never save. So we did have A Link to the Past, and that game I absolutely loved. And that game had a copy of the Four Swords Adventure in it, and I remember I would always load it up and watch the cutscene, and I'd always wonder like what the Minish Cap was like. It's Wendy! Yo, she looks mad. Oops, okay, no, that's a little too much. We can't let you do that. I didn't even know her little Peachio ring kind of looks like a, oh my gosh, bro, there's no way. I keep doing the same thing. Her little Peachio is doing so much damage. There we go. She looks like she's wearing a mask too. I said that already, right? Yeah, I did. I'm rewinding and my brain's rewinding. It's like, I don't know what did I say or not, but I clearly did say it. She was the boss of world number 3. But A Link to the Past is also a game that I'm almost positive I have a cartridge of. I think I do have a physical copy of that game. I just bought like pretty much all the games that I fell in love or that I had any emotional attachment to again. Hey, it's Luigi! This is Prince Luigi. Guys, tell me that's not Luigi. He looks more like Luigi and Mario than Mario does himself. Like, how is that even possible? Well, I'll tell you, it's literally the eyes. The white in the eyes is what makes the difference here. Mario just has a black eye, whereas he has blue eyes. The original Super Mario has blue eyes. So this Mario, he just never hit the way Super Mario hit because of the eyes. But I get it, you know, this is old school Mario. This is before they tuned him up. Now here we are in World 4. I know I'm like sidetracking, I'm going from one place to the next, but World 4 is in fact my favorite world in the game. And I forgot to mention, so World 2 is actually called Desert Hills, World 3 was called Seaside, World 4 is called Big Island. Now this world hit for me because it first of all, it's a green, vibrant world, you know, fun, Mario-esque levels. But what really made this world for me so special was the fact that it is literally Tiny Huge Island. And I was like, oh my god, this is Tiny Huge Island before Tiny Huge Island was a thing. So as you can see, you have the Koopas that walk on all fours. You know, you have these giant pipes. You have these giant clouds, these obviously giant piranhas that come out, these giant blocks. Everything is pretty much massive here. And then above all else, you could literally take certain pipes that will allow you to go to the regular sized world. And I remember when I experienced this for the first time, I was like mind blown because I'm like, dude, this is literally Tiny Huge Island. And it was like the best thing in the world for me. And obviously it's just the fact that this is a very green, vibrant world, you know, that I just like have a lot of attachment to. You know, this is what makes Mario Mario. But I don't think there is a pipe that takes you to the small world in this particular level, but there will be one actually later on. And by the way, in order to get the star panel every time, you have to like jump at the edge of the box, and that way you hit the tip of the star leg, because it's the only item that actually extends. There's pixels that extend all the way in the whole box, so by doing so, hitting the tip, you end up getting the star every single time. Look at that, I can even pick up this giant shell. See you later, piranha. And then you can pick up these blue blocks, which will, you know, come in handy. You can also whack the piranha plants in the face if you wanted to, which is a pretty good idea, but I mean, that one, unfortunately, he bested me. Give me the star. Give me the star, give me the star. The cheeps, they're coming at me. No. See, look at that. Very easy level, very short level. I'm telling you, all these, I'm on World 4 and it's only been like an hour. Not even an hour of recording, and here I am on World 4. You could literally beat this game in a sitting. But it's like crazy. When I was a kid, it felt like a journey. It would take me days to beat this game. But again, it was probably because I sucked, you know, and probably because I really like would just get lost in each level. I would spend time in each level just feeling my emotions, you know, just experiencing like how the game makes me feel. It was just the perfect escapism. But it's crazy because there was a point in our stay in Egypt, I think it was around like 2007, I would say like 2007, 2008, when, you know, YouTube, well, I guess like the internet was getting decent enough in Egypt where people could actually like get on YouTube, and that's when I discovered the website YouTube, you know, for the first time. And I remember always getting on the website specifically to watch WWE clips. I was so obsessed with the WWE. So other than wanting to be a pilot, I also wanted to be a wrestler. That was actually one of my dreams, you know. So it's crazy to see, like, you know, influencers like in the WWE space, like YouTubers, that are doing it, because I'm like, wow, that's kind of crazy. This was literally my dream as a child. I was so obsessed with, like, you know, Chris Jericho. I was obsessed with like The Undertaker, Kane, obviously John Cena, the GOAT. Everybody loved John Cena, Randy Orton, Batista, you know, all of these guys. Like, I was just like, I want to be like them, you know, Triple H, you know, Shawn Michaels, the Hardy Bros. And I could always just imagine myself, like, you know, getting buff and just like, you know, doing the WWE thing. And whenever I would like go to these computer labs, you know, they were like popping up finally in Egypt. So people were like making these computer labs and like, you know, obviously setting up computers and charging people, you know, money to like have an allotted time. And anytime we would get like an allowance, we would just go to the computer lab, and that's something that we did all the time anytime we had access to cash, and we would just like spend our days there, because it got to a point where like, you know, pretty much my stepmom, she would take the games and, you know, she would lock them somewhere, and she was very like conniving, bro. She would like put it in a space and like, you know, set up like a little fortress around it or something, and memorize exactly every minute detail, like, oh, this shirt was above and it was put in this way, so then that way if somebody goes in, because we used to do that, like she would put that stuff in her bedroom, and then when she would leave to go visit her family in Cairo, it was like an 1.5-hour trip, so she would have to take a, you know, what we call a bijou, which is essentially like a car that like is filled up to the brim. It's like a 8-seater car that's filled up to the brim, and people will pay like, you know, I don't know, like 20 pounds or 10 pounds to hitch a ride to Cairo, and it's like a bunch of travelers, and you know, it would be like a mission for her. She would go and spend like at least a few days there, and she would communicate with my older brother, you know, so she would always lock her bedroom door before she left, but there was a window in the balcony, and that window was small enough where we could fit in it. So we would like fit in the window, jump in through the balcony, and then from the balcony we would open the sliding door that led into her bedroom, and we would go inside of her room and then take the games out, and then we would essentially play, you know. And it's funny, we had a TV, and the TV was literally, it was called a cute TV. It was literally like 19 inches, a square 19-inch TV is what we used to watch TV, to play games on. So there were times where like we would get caught, like she would come home and she would see that, you know, who was in my room. She would know somebody was in our room, but like she didn't have like definitive evidence, because we were like, how could we get in the room if the door's locked? And obviously I don't think she put one and one together that we jumped through the balcony. So we knew, okay, she's obviously setting this up in a way where she's able to catch us, that we're like, you know, going in and, you know, playing the games and whatnot. So it got to a point where like, you know, she was just like very strategic with how she did things. We didn't even want to risk it. So we would just end up spending our time in computer labs, which was again like a godsend. There was literally like two computer labs that we would go to right next to our houses, and everything in Egypt is pretty much like walking distance. So we would go to like these computer labs. There was one computer lab that the guy was like known for like games, so I would play like Grand Theft Auto, I think San Andreas and Vice City, and bro, I would get so lost playing those games, me and my brothers would. And then there was another computer lab which we would go to for specifically like YouTube and watching like YouTube videos, and that computer lab was a little bit closer to our house. I mean, I guess they were both like equal distance, but you know, I was like super into YouTube, and my brothers obviously discovered YouTube and they got super into it as well. And like I said, we would just start watching like WWE stuff, and I wasn't really exposed to the gaming side of things then. I didn't even know people could make money on YouTube. At the time I was like 14 years old, so I was just a kid logging onto YouTube, watching videos. And I remember making a channel way back when, like in late 2000s, like I think it was like 2008 or something, or 2007. And you know, I had a Nokia N81, which was like the best thing my dad got me. It was like a smartphone, and it had like a 2-inch display. It let me connect to the internet, which was really nice. And it had a video camera, obviously low quality cameras, like 2 megapixels, but still, I mean, any camera is better than no camera. And I would just like film like stupid videos on my phone. You know, I don't know why, I was such a troll. I always like picking on my little brother, maybe because he was younger than me, but you know, I would just kind of like mess with him, you know. There would be times where he'd be asleep and then I just like go burp really loudly in his face. Okay, so this door takes you in and out of tiny huge world. So as you can see, like I'm gonna stay in the big world because I really like the big aesthetics here. It's easier to also dodge the enemies, even though that Koopa was giving me a hard time, but it's like because I couldn't get in the door properly. But back to what I was saying, I would film videos here and there, and I remember I had this one video of like my brother, he was sleeping, and my youngest brother, he was sleeping on his bed, and then he was kind of sleeping sitting upwards, because even something as much as a nap, you had to ask. I was like, you had to ask your stepmom to like, hey, can I take a nap? Like it was so weird, bro. Like you had to like ask for permission for everything that you did. If you want to use the bathroom, you gotta ask to use the bathroom. You want to shower, you gotta ask to shower. You want a glass of water, you had to ask for a glass of water. If you're hungry, you can only eat in the allocated time and the dinner, and that's it. Like you can't go above or beyond that. If you don't eat, then you're not getting food. It was like military camp, bro. Like straight up. I don't even think they treat their militants that harshly. But anyways, he was just like, you know, resting and whatnot. He was always on high alert, like we all were. So I had this video of me just like going up to his face and just letting out this really loud burp. He was like so scared, and I uploaded that to YouTube. I don't remember how many views it got. I don't think really I paid attention. I did it all through my smartphone, and I remember I told my stepmom that I did that, and I got in huge trouble because I obviously didn't ask permission to post it, and then she forced me to delete the video. I know I could have lied and told her I deleted it, but you know, I was always trying to be an honest guy. I didn't want to like lie to her knowing that I didn't delete the video. But looking back at it now, yeah, I wish I didn't delete the video. I wish I would have just did what I wanted to do, you know, because it's not like she would have been able to like find the channel and see if the video was up and whatnot, but whatever. But that was like my first experience with having a YouTube channel. And then when I ended up like coming back to America, like in 2009, 2010, that's when I like started really thinking about like, you know, really starting a YouTube page. And, you know, just like any content creator, you're gonna have like multiple channels that you upload videos on before you finally have one that sticks. And in 2011, with the launch of the 3DS, it was that for me with SullyPwnz. It was the channel that I created. You know, all the other channels that I pretty much had were not like personal channels to me. They were channels that like were joint effort from like other content creators, or like friends of mine. I would just like upload videos with, you know, like collaborative efforts with my friends and whatnot. So it wasn't like a personal, unique channel to me. But then when I made this channel, this was like, okay, this is gonna be all me. You know, this is the Sully channel, and you know, it's like it changed my life forever. You know, like finally being able to, you know, make videos. And at the time I went to it with the intention of just simply just making videos for fun. You know, I was really inspired by like Chugga Conroy and like Super Skarmory and SSO HBKC. Like to me, those guys were the guys that like really ignited this passion in me. I remember it was 2010 and Chugga Conroy's channel got taken down for false copyright, and it was by this guy named Conjopi, and Conjopi was notorious for like taking down channels that did let's play videos, and it was like a big deal. And I remember this was like something that everybody, I felt like, was talking about, like YouTuber Chugga Conroy gets taken down, and it was like something that really, I don't want to say superstar Chugga, because Chugga was already really well known, but it definitely brought a lot of like eyes on him as well, because he ended up coming back doing Super Mario Galaxy, and I remember like that LP did really well for him. I think it's Super Luigi Galaxy, and it did really well for him. And you know, I remember watching it and I was just like, bro, I want to do this is what I want to do. And I didn't think you could make money off of it. I was just doing it solely for the fun of it and whatnot. And I made this channel for the 3DS, and you know, started uploading content on it consistently, and then lo and behold, you get a YouTube partnership, and then you start making a little bit of cash, you know. And the first cash that I made was just like, you know, it was like enough, like, you know, to buy like small things here and there, like games and You know, I remember one time I made, it was like the biggest amount I ever made. It was like, I think almost $800. And I remember I was like, oh my God, bro, like I made $800, you know, imagine like being brokey, never getting, we didn't even know what allowance was. Like allowance was not in our vocabulary. Allowance was just like a unique thing for like people who had money. That wasn't us. We didn't get allowances. We would get something maybe like once a year, you know, if that. I mean, when it came to games, yeah, we had games, but the reason I believe we had games was because my mom was a gamer, so she would buy the games for herself, and then we would play those games because she would buy them essentially for herself. So had she not been a gamer, I doubt we would have gotten any of these games or had any experiences or a relationship with gaming in general. So yeah, that ignited my passion pretty much, you know, for wanting to do content creation. And then I remember buying a laptop. And prior to that, I gotta give another shout out to my grandpa, you know, the best grandpa in the world. I remember when I first told him about the YouTube thing, you know, and I wanted to do it. I didn't obviously have any equipment, nothing, bro. My grandpa, he came through for me. My grandpa got me a laptop. My grandpa got me a camera. You know, we were literally living in my grandpa's house, like in the early days. My grandpa literally bought my mom a house that she's living in till today, you know. She wasn't living in it consistently throughout the last, like, I don't know, 15, 16 years when he bought it for her. But, you know, it's like funny how things like happen, like, and go in full circle, because she's like literally living back in it today. But anyways, my grandpa bought my mom a house when he found out we moved back. And the crazy thing is too, like when we were in Egypt, like my grandpa literally paid for me and my brother's flights to come home because my dad apparently didn't have the money to pay for the flight. So when my brother ran away, he and my other youngest brother, they were lucky to be able to go back to America, you know, and live with my mom again. And me and my older brothers were like, what the heck? So they get to leave, but we can't. We have to stay and live in this condition. And it was just so depressing. And my dad was like, oh, I'll work and try to see if I could get you guys tickets, you know, so you guys could come. But the problem was our passports were like so close to expiring, and it's just like we didn't want to get stuck in the country with expired passports because like it was going to be a nightmare to try to renew them in a country like Egypt without your parents present. And so we had this Magic Jack, and it essentially allowed you to make calls overseas. So fortunately we knew our grandpa's phone number, and he was in America at the time, and we called him up and we told him about our situation. And you know, my grandpa was just like, say less, like, you know, I'm gonna send your dad the money, he'll buy you guys the tickets, and you guys can come back and, you know, live with your mom. And he did. He ended up buying, you know, the tickets, and you know, the rest was history. And then when he ended up, we ended up moving back in with our mom, and we were living in a really just bad living condition, very small house. It just wasn't feasible for like 5 kids. And you know, we were obviously growing up, like me and my other brothers. You know, I was 16, bro. I keep messing this up. I'm gonna keep getting it until I get it. There we go. I'm not gonna let that little weasel get me like that. That's messed up. Nope. Bro, I literally caught it last second too. Whatever, man. Whatever, I'll let you have that one. But when my grandpa saw the living conditions we were in, he was just like, yo, I'm gonna buy you guys a house. And he bought us a house, and it was a pretty spacious house that accommodated all of us, like my mom, her husband at the time, her baby daughter, who's my half sister, and, you know, my 4 brothers. And I just remember, you know, starting my YouTube page in that house, you know, with a laptop my grandpa gave to me and my brother, and you know, a camera that he also gave to me. And it's just like, you know, I really do owe a lot of it to him, honestly, like a lot of it to him, because he believed in me from the jump. And you know, I like, as an adult, like, you know, whenever I hang out with him and I'm chilling with him, I just have so much respect. He's 83, 84, God bless his soul. You know, he's healthy, he does his own thing, goes, you know, flies to Egypt and back to America. You know, he's just, you know, just a very good guy, you know, very well respected guy, especially like even in places like Egypt. Super generous. Like that's what he's known for, is his generosity. you know, always selflessly giving, you know, never taking handouts. You know, he's always been blessed to, like, you know, have it good. And I think it's because, like, you know, God blesses him for just like the things he does in his life, you know, the way he helps people. And, you know, he definitely, you know, took good care of us as well. And, you know, like, as an adult, like, you know, whenever I hang out with him, I always remind him of that. I'm always like, you know, I always tell my grandpa, like, you know, it's so crazy how, like, you know, everything happened, and, like, you know, we became like successful YouTubers, like me and my brothers. You know, granted, my channel fell off hard, but it's still, like, even back during its heyday, you know, it's just like crazy to think, like, you know, this was the life that we had. Like, me and all of my brothers except my youngest brother, we were all YouTubers, we were all successful at it too, you know, we were like doing well. And, you know, just all of that goes back to my grandpa, you know, like, obviously God first, you gotta thank God for everything, and, you know, he creates the means for you, but, like, he also places the right people that are meant for you in your life. And that was, like, you know, him. My grandpa was that guy. So I'll, like, have these reflection moments with him, and I'll talk to him about it, and he's just always like, yeah, you know, like, I believed in you guys. And he's always so proud of us, like, you know, seeing how far we've come. And he's always like flaunting us when he's with his friends, like, oh, these are my grandchildren, you know. And, like, sometimes we're like, these are my sons, you know. People are like, what? Yeah, these are your kids? But, like, no, it's like we're his grandkids, you know. We're technically, I guess, his kids, you know what I'm saying? He's like my pops, you know what I'm saying? Because without him, there wouldn't be a me, there wouldn't be my mom, there wouldn't be me, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's why he's called the grandfather, you know. But yeah, it's just you know, just crazy how everything comes full circle like that and whatnot. But that's all I gotta really say. I mean, I feel like I spent the first hour and a half pretty much just talking about my life in Egypt. And, you know, it was something that I really wanted to do, you know. I feel like growing up, there was a lot of shame behind, like, how I grew up, you know, and I just never wanted to talk about it or think about it, you know. Like, I just would rather have shut it out of my mind and pretended it never happened, even though, like, a lot of the stuff that happened was, in fact, like, really messed up. And it just, like, I would not wish any of my experiences on anyone else, you know. There's just a lot of hard times, but I do believe that, like, you know, everything in life happens for a reason. Like, God will obviously put you through certain situations, whether you understand why you're in it or not. And I think, like, with me as well, one of the biggest things was, like, you know, finding God and learning about, like, you know, what is truth for me when I was there. And just, like, you know, feeling like, you know, you don't have anybody, you don't have your parents, you don't have, like, you know, family really to support you like that. Even, like, my grandpa, like, we knew we could tell him everything that we were going through in Egypt. One call would change everything, but we didn't want to do that. We didn't want to, like, bring shame to, like, my dad or, like, you know, our family by doing that. And we also didn't want to take that risk, knowing, well, what if he doesn't help us, you know? So we kind of just for years tolerated everything that was going on in silence without, like, fully coming out. And you know, I mean, granted, like, I look back at it and I'm just like, you know, it's kind of crazy. Like, me and my brothers, who we were still kids, really, we had that mindset. Like, we had that perseverance mindset, and that mindset of just, like, being patient in the situation instead of breaking and running away from it, you know. Granted, it reached a point where, like I said, my younger brother, he ended up running away because he was at a point where he was just a kid, you know. He was 5 years old, he didn't have a mom or a dad living there. He was just with a woman that he never knew, you know, like, a woman that didn't make him feel safe. Just power played him. And, you know, what's it gonna do to him? It's obviously gonna break a little kid like him, and that's what ended up happening. He ended up running away. And, you know, I guess it was through that we ended up coming back, because had that not happened, we would have probably never ended up leaving Egypt. And that was, like, one of my biggest fears, is just, like, never coming back to America. You know, living in Egypt was not a fun experience. It's a very humbling one. Like, if you live in America, living in Egypt or any third world country is a completely different experience. And, you know, you can't really explain it. You have to, I guess, experience it to truly understand what it's like. You know, I can try to explain it as much as I can, but, you know, it's just like you could be living poor here, you know, and that's probably still better than living in a country like Egypt in a lot of ways. Not saying and it's better in all aspects, but I'm just saying in a lot of ways, yes. So, you know, it was something that I obviously did not want to like have to imagine like, oh, this is my life, I'm gonna end up being stuck here forever. So I ended up coming back, and then this YouTube thing ended up working out, and the rest is pretty much history, man. History. One day, you know, I thought about it. I'm like, it would be cool to write a book and really get into details about like my whole experience. Because I mean, a lot of people in my life that I end up getting close to, you know, the more you spend time with somebody, the closer you get with somebody, people are always like gonna know more about you. And like, you know, I feel like a lot of people who I've spoken with and they kind of know my story are always like really fascinated. Like, bro, like that's surprising how you guys ended up being sane, you know, like a lot of the things that I guess that we experienced would have really pushed someone to the brink of insanity, whereas like with us, we definitely persevered. And I'm not taking credit for it for myself, obviously, you know. I would say like what helped me be guided through this was faith, you know, like having faith in God and just like believing, you know, that everything will always happen for a reason, whether good or bad, you know, like there's always some type of silver lining in it, you know. And you have to like be able to understand that you're only looking at the pixel and you can't see the full picture of things. And that's what it was for me, just like not being able to see the full picture of what it was that we were experiencing, you know, how it like shaped us and what it made us become, essentially, you know, better people, like more empathetic, you know. Like there's a difference between being sympathetic and empathetic. I think a lot of people can be sympathetic, but a lot of people lack the ability of being empathetic because they don't have the necessary, they don't necessarily have the experience of like understanding truly what it is that somebody has been through. Like if you're example, for example, you know, a person who dealt with heartbreak, you're dealing with a breakup, you know, it's easier for you to look at like your friend who's going through a heartbreak and have empathy, you know, you feel for them. The reason is because you've tasted it, so now you understand exactly what it's like, so it's easier for you to be empathetic. Versus if you've never been in that situation, you can feel bad for them, but that's called sympathy, you know. It's not the same as having that empathy, you know. And sometimes, yeah, it can be a double-edged sword, because although like, you know, you might have a good quality empathy, it can backfire and bite you if you don't manage it properly. And you know, that's just something that I also had to deal with the hard way as well, because there was a lot of times where just like, you know, people took advantage of my kindness and you know, of like the willingness to do favors for, and I had to deal with that a lot in my early 20s. You know, I could write a book about all the experiences that I've been through. There's just so much that like I've been tested with from people. It's kind of crazy, but you know, I'll save these stories for another day, you know. Right now, we gotta shift the energy and the focus on talking about this game. You know, I wanna enjoy the rest of this game and talk about my positive experiences as well with 2D Mario. And ooh, as I said, my intention. Ooh, no! See, this is horrible. I could have easily made it in, but whatever. See, I don't know why I jumped at the end there. That was actually really dumb of me to do. Like, I should have just kept going, but whatever. There you go. We got another star, bro. 2 for 2. Or 2 for 3 rather. So 59 lives. I'm gonna try to break my record and get to like over 100. I don't even know if you can max out on 100 lives, but I'm gonna try to do that in this playthrough. See if I can get to 100 lives. So I have 4 P-Wings, which is really good because I'm gonna be using these at the end of the game. And you know what? Since I'm here, might as well visit this toad house. Let's see what kind of nah. I'm not gonna take a decapitated toad. Let's see what else we got. We got a fire flower and then maybe a bear suit? No, it's just another mushroom. Okay, well, out of the 3 items, a tanuki leaf? Yo, what? This thing just random, it literally decides the item the moment you open the chest. That's actually pretty crazy. Let's go ahead and do this fortress real quick. So the fortresses in this game are essentially save points, because if you save the game and you restart the game, you're not able to save the game again. So if you want to like permanently save the game, you have to do a fortress to get that permanent save, which makes the game, I guess, slightly more difficult. All right, whatever, it's all good. You know what? We're gonna get an item here somewhere, maybe, hopefully. I actually doubt it. I'm pretty sure none of these have items. Oh, a star. Oh my god, that was horrible. Okay, well, whatever. At least I'm baby, so I don't have to worry about like jumping too high into the. Ooh! We gotta wait. Ooh, not again. Same thing, but this time I got hit from the top. It was like the bottom and then the top. All right, here we go. Come on, come on. Oh my god, yo, what? I honestly should have just like went into this with like a triple item. By triple item, I mean an item that gave me 2 hits. Oh, that was clutch. I literally dodged that baba or that dry bones with the skin of my teeth. Anyways, another one of these boom boom fights. I think this is boom boom. It's supposed to be boom boom. Who else is it supposed to be, right? Like this predates the existence of pom pom, I guess. Did I say pom? No, it's pom pom. Which is also the name of the dog in Pokemon Wind in Pokemon Waves. Pokemon Waves and Wind. Let me see. Let me just make sure. Pom Pom, Pokemon Wind. You know, I just gotta make sure, you know, it's Pom Bon. Okay, never mind. I thought it was Pop Pom. Listen, the game just got announced, so forgive me for not knowing them off the top of my head like that. But Browit, the little owl, it's not even an owl, it's like a chicken. It's like a chick bird. That's the one that I'm excited to like use for that game. It's been a while since I've actually invested into Pokemon. Real quick though, I actually want to look up the Super Mario Bros. 3 enemies because I want to make sure I know exactly what each enemy is called. Ugh, I hate when they do that. I wish the wiki would just show me the pictures. Okay, here we go. This is perfect. We got the micro Goomba. Oh, nice, nice. There's obviously a lot of Goombas that, or a lot of enemies that I skipped over in terms of like speaking about them, but it's all good. It's all good. Anyways, I think one of these levels is going to be difficult. It's going to be a level where we have to, this is it. Oh my god. This is actually the one I was thinking about it. So this one is going to have like there's also another one similar to this where you're going to have to ride parabeetles and the level will be auto scroll. That level always specifically stood out to me because of its difficulty. This one kind of is tough because you have Lakitu here raining spikes on you constantly. I don't know what his problem is. He woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. He's just not having it. Oh my gosh, bro. There's no way. Like the freaking mushroom, I hit it facing right, and then yet the mushroom ends up going left, and then I lose the mushroom because there's just so much happening here. And then of course, Lakitu, you're gonna spawn that little thing on me, bro. It's so annoying. Oh my god, Lakitu, stop! Stop! Bro, he's pissing me off. I swear to God, he's actually making me mad because look at this. Like, what is wrong with you, bro? Leave me alone. Oh my god. See, this is why I should have just used like a star going into this. Brother. So annoying. See, this is why, and then also there's gonna be one at the end, of course. Of course, so this wasn't the parabeetle level. This was just Lakitu's nuisance. Disgusting, bro. Disgusting creature, man. I'm just looking through the wiki to see if there's like any enemies that I cannot recognize. Oh, where did you come from? My man's just spawned out of nowhere like that. Okay, cool. So I'm pretty positive this is the level. This is it right here. So this one actually should be a little bit easier than that Lakitu level. I'm not gonna lie. That Lakitu one was actually annoying. Unlike other 2D modern Mario games, you can't like hijack Lakitu's cloud. So when you take Lakitu out, the cloud goes with him. So it's kind of unfortunate because it would be nice to be able to like ride Lakitu's cloud all the way to the end, but they do make this game a little bit more challenging. You can't also jump through blocks. Like, you know, usually in Mario games, you can just jump upwards through like, not blocks, but different platforms. You don't have to like go around. But in this game, you know, not all platforms you could jump through. So with this one, you have to like actually land on it in a legitimate way. Mario's not gonna just, you know, go inside of a platform. Wow, that was actually much easier than I anticipated it to be. I was definitely thinking this was gonna give me a hard time, but fortunately, I was able to clear through it very easily. So out of pretty much all the old school Mario games, this is hands down my favorite one. I do want to play like, you know, the other 2D Mario titles along with like the Yoshi's Islands. Like pretty much everything on Nintendo Switch Online GBA is a hit for me. Like all the Kirby titles, those are short, sweet classics. I could probably do them in a few hours, honestly. Metroid Fusion, that's also a game that I want to play. I grew up playing that game. It was really nice. It was pretty much what inspired my love for Metroidvanias. Yo, Sparrow! Yo, that is sick. If I was transformed into that, I would probably want to stay as that. I wouldn't mind staying as a Sparrow. That is cool, bro. Look how sick he looks. Anyways, I got you, Toad. Princess Peach is kind enough to send a Toad to be a butler for each one of the kings out there in the world. So this guy has his own little Toad butler, and Toad is crying for him to be saved, which is nice. And by the way, this world is called the Sky, if I didn't say that already. So the reason it's called the Sky is because obviously you're in the sky. There's a lot, well, I guess there's a chunk of this world where you're like not in the sky, and then you have to climb the tower that leads you up to the sky. But yeah, I mean, they just pretty much call it the sky based off of the second half of the world, if you want to say it's the second half. I wonder which Koopling we'll be fighting. I don't think we fought Ludwig yet. Ludwig, I think, might be the last Koopling because he's the strongest Koopling of the bunch. I really don't know. I never even really knew the Kooplings' names, to be honest, when I was younger, when I first played this. Because, I mean, like, I was, what, like 11 years old when I started playing this game? So I don't exactly remember any Mario game that had the Kooplings in them that I would have been able to identify them as Kooplings. I just thought they were like, oh, it's Morton. No, it's not Morton, it's Roy. Yeah, we fought Morton earlier on. Oh, he can stun me? Brother, how dare you? So we just gotta not... Okay, well, that's fine. That's totally fine. I'll take the hits, bro. I'll take the hits. Give me the wand. Let's turn the Sparrow back to a king. I wonder what he's gonna look like. What kind of king he's gonna be. Let's see. And what kind of item I'll also get. I remember as a kid too, like, you know, I would always cherish the items that I would get from Princess Peach, like the cloud. Oh, look at that! It looks like Mario's great-grandfather, or grandfather. Definitely the Mario that I'm looking at right now looks like this, because they got the same just dotted black eyes. Oh, splendid, splendid, I am back to my old self, thank you again, or thank you so much. And then she gives me another one of these little teeth. It's just a singular tooth. Those clouds always reminded me of teeth, because when I was in elementary school, if you lost a tooth in class, because, you know, obviously, you know, you're a kid, you're still losing your baby teeth, the teacher, she had these little plastic containers that looked just like this. It was like a little cloud-shaped looking tooth with a smiley face on it, and then she would give it to you with your tooth in it. It was so cute. And I remember I wanted to lose a tooth so bad because I wanted one of those containers. So as a kid, what I did was I lost a tooth. I would like wait to lose the tooth in school, but one time the tooth didn't fall out when I was in school. It fell out when I was at home. And I was so upset because I'm like, dang it, I'm not gonna get one of those containers. And I really wanted one. I was like 7 years old or something, maybe even 6. This was probably like 2nd grade or 1st grade, honestly. I don't remember. It was very early on in my school year. But what happened was I ended up like taking the tooth with me to school, and I just pretended it fell out while I was in class, and then the teacher ended up giving me a little container, and I was so happy. I was like, yo, I got a little container with my tooth in it. And I believed in the tooth fairy too. It's crazy. Obviously my parents never played along with that stuff. So I remember putting I was kind of skeptical. Like, I wasn't dumb. I wasn't so naive to think like, oh, the tooth fairy really does exist. I mean, part of me was like, nah, there's no way like the tooth fairy actually exists. You know, why don't we see anything similar to the tooth fairy like that? But I do remember one time putting my, you know, tooth underneath my pillow, and then I woke up the next day full of excitement, hoping there was something underneath my pillow, and lo and behold, there was nothing. It was just my stupid tooth, you know. So yeah, that's when I realized that the tooth fairy is a sham. But, you know, there were other kids that truly believed in that. They would believe that the tooth fairy was real, and they'd be like, oh, the tooth fairy left me $5. And I'd be like, I'm so jealous. The tooth fairy visits all these other kids, but not me. But then I kind of knew low-key that it's honestly the parents and not the, and not a real tooth fairy. So anyways, this world here is called Iceland, obviously, because it is a world filled with ice, and I definitely screwed that up. I jumped a little too soon there. I'm not really too crazy about the auto-scroll levels. I like them a lot, but I'm glad that the game has like a mix of both auto-scroll and just regular levels. The auto-scroll ones obviously add like a sense of urgency because you have to move along with the screen. I would say that the ice world is pretty well balanced. Like it has enough ice, but it's not like completely ice, which I would think would be annoying. Like if you play like any of the modern new Super Mario Bros. Games, the ice worlds are just completely all about the ice and whatnot. Whereas in this game, you know, you got a little mixed bag, and I love how like the world stays very vibrant, you know, like it's very much the Mushroom Kingdom. It doesn't really feel like you're being taken out of the Mushroom Kingdom like that. Like even when we get to World 7, you'll see that it's very much related to the vibes of the Mushroom Kingdom. And we got another one of these hammer bros. All right, you know what? I'm gonna take the L. I'm gonna just let him take the hit. What? There we go. Usually, sometimes they're kind enough to put an item in one of these boxes, but I guess not today. Maybe it's the one underneath where the chest is, or above the chest. I actually don't know. Nope, nothing. Okay, so I pretty much checked them all out. Out of all of the items that I've so far gained, I don't think really the hammer is anything special. How many do I have? Oh, I got one slot remaining. I'm about to use, see, I'm saving this for the end of the game. Oh, we got one of these thingies. I forgot about these thingies. Guys, this is the hammer suit. You know, I actually remember this very, very well. Oh, and I see I got the bear suit too. So the bear suit is pretty much like the Tanuki suit in Super Mario 3D World, or Super Mario 3D Land. But look at this, I can throw hammers! I don't know why they got rid of this power-up. This is such a clutch power-up, man. You know, and then you could literally protect yourself, just turn into a shell. Like, this is so sick. OG Mario power-up. Here, and then if you... Okay, wait, hold up. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to test this out. If I could, like... hit... Okay, so throwing a hammer at a block doesn't actually bring out anything in that block, but I can definitely take the Koopas out. Well, if I could even hit a Koopa to test this theory out, that would be great. But it's like the way he shoots hammers, the range of the way how he shoots hammers is kind of silly. Look at that. I gotta land it specific, like very precisely on this Koopa. There we go. It's kind of useless, I'm not gonna lie. You have to like have impeccable timing when it comes to like throwing the hammers if you want to like use it to take out enemies. So I mean, it's just for the aesthetics really that I would want to wear it, but other than that, you know, it's not really my cup of tea. I would prefer the Tanuki leaf. And as I was saying, the bear suit is essentially what the Tanuki leaf is in Super Mario 3D Land, except that the bear suit allows you to turn into a stone. So technically the Tanuki leaf with the red scarf from 3D Land, whereas the Tanuki leaf that we see in this game where Mario just has his ears looking different, that's essentially the Tanuki leaf from New Super Mario Bros. 2, which is the original Tanuki leaf. I mean, what else would it be, right? It's the OG original Tanuki leaf. Ooh, okay. What about this? What is this? No. That was horrible. They kind of bait you with this. Oh my gosh. They kind of bait you with this one because it's like you try to grab it. Oh, wow. Hold up. Okay, well, no. I'm gonna land on it. There we go. You see? Wow, that rewind feature is clutch. Absolute clutch. So recently I've actually been doing a podcast for those of you guys who haven't seen or don't know about it already. I mean, I wanted to make like a proper video talking about this. There's probably somewhere down the line I will in the future. But for those of you watching this video and are watching thus far, I'm doing a podcast with Beat 'em Ups, and it's called the Nintendo Podcast. It's his podcast, and you know, I ended up being invited to become a co-host on the podcast, which was pretty sick. Hold on, I'm definitely gonna make this work here. I'm gonna get whatever this is. Oh my gosh, no, this is so annoying. This is so annoying, bruh. Okay. Oh my god, the way they put this item here. I'm telling you, so if I did not have this rewind feature, it would actually be horrible. I don't know why I did that. That was actually really dumb. I should have just kept going. This has to be another Tanuki Leaf. Amazing. Okay, cool. And we're not even at the hardest parts of this game yet. Like, World 7 is an annoying world. It's annoying because it's hard. I mean, who knows? Maybe I might not deem it as hard after, like, all these years. Because I feel like I've been breezing through the game pretty smoothly, but who knows what will happen. I mean, I definitely rewinded a lot on some very silly parts, which kind of sucks, because I was hoping not to have to use this rewind feature. Yes, please, save the game. Oh, look at that, I got 69 lives, amazing, and I'm over 1,000,000 points. If only my subscriber count went up as much as these, as fast as these points did, that would be lovely. Oh! Anyways, as I was saying, so I'm doing this podcast now. It's called the Nintendo Podcast, and we recently had Scott the Waz on the podcast, which was pretty cool. You know, Scott's a content creator that I've been watching for a little bit now. When I say a little bit, I mean like mainly a couple of I've known of Scott since like 2017, and it's crazy because I told him this when I saw him. I was like, I thought you've been making content for longer than that, and he's like, he has on other channels, but when it comes to like his main channel, he's only been doing it for like since 2017. And I was like, there's no way. Like, I feel like I remember seeing him pop up on my YouTube feed like back in 2014 and 15, but it's probably just like memories that are being created in my head to fill in the gaps and whatnot. And it was pretty nice meeting him, honestly. He's a very nice, humble dude. He knows his Nintendo, I'll tell you that. Like, he's definitely very passionate about Nintendo, and he knows his stuff. I watch his Scotch Stash channel, and you know, I haven't really watched much of his main content stuff. Like, I mean, he pops up in my feed, obviously, and I'm pretty sure I'm subbed to his channel. But when it comes to like his second channel, I actually really enjoy the content he puts out on that channel because, you know, it's content that I could easily watch and enjoy. Oh. Yo, these things actually have a name. Hold on, I'm gonna get you guys the name of these thingies. They're actually quite annoying. They are called, my friends. Where are they? Oh man, I'm gonna have to scroll through the whole list. They're called Buster Beetle. Is the cousin of the Buzzy Beetle. Wow, the Buster Beetle's the cousin of the Buzzy Beetle. Yo, so on that pod, so Scott the Waz, he was on the podcast, and on the podcast I put together a little trivia for him. And it was really cool. I mean, I wish if I had played this game a little bit earlier, I would have honestly probably maybe added some questions from this game. Oh my gosh, brother, you are not about to take my Tanuki Leaf away from me. Who do you think you are? Oh, this is this level. Yo, guys, so there's a level in this world that requires you to use a Koopling. Oh, actually, wait a second. This might not be it. Oh, this is it. Yep. This is it. Okay, so this pipe, as you can see, will take you to a Tanuki Leaf. The reason they do that is because they're essentially forcing you to get it. Oh my god. Bro, get out of here. Get out of here, Buster Beetle. Oh my god, Buster Beetles! The most annoying creation. Okay, so what I need to do here is I need to get this Koopa. Okay, we're gonna get rid of this guy, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna no, Koopa, please, See, it's the stupid Buster Beetle that kind of screwed me up. Okay, so here, we're gonna do, oh my gosh, it's not what I'm trying to do. Okay, what we gotta do, this time I'm gonna get it before the clock runs out. Notice how the timer on this level is actually much higher than what it usually gives me. So we gotta take this little Koopa. Okay, wait, maybe not here, maybe this way. Gotta take him up this way. Nope, not this way either. Oh my gosh, no. Okay, we're gonna, I think this is a good spot to rewind in. I think it's this way. Yeah, right here. So, bro, there's no way. I didn't have enough juice. Okay, hold on. Okay, so we gotta go quick. It's hard, like, holding down the run button, and then, like, do I have to hold down the run button? Like, it's so annoying. Like, when I'm trying to, like... Oh my gosh, this is actually so annoying. It's pissing me off. Oh. Okay, here we go. Okay, throw it. There we go. See, so annoying. I remember this is one of those levels as a kid that, like, I absolutely hated because of this. Like, having to dodge the stupid Buster Beetles, grab the Koopling, and then just, like, fly all the way up here to drop it. I mean, it's very clever. I'm not gonna lie. I like that it's challenging and it's not just like, oh, jump it, walk it, like, you know, hop in the level, run for 5 seconds right, and then hit the panel block. It's challenging. That's what you want. You want a game to challenge you. You don't want something super easy. Otherwise, it's... what's the point of playing it, you know? You need a little bit of challenge. Or it's like, you know, Super Mario Odyssey reminds me of, like, the Moon Kingdom. I don't think I've ever really beaten the dark side of the moon. I thought at one point I did 100% Super Mario Odyssey, but then when I went back to load my file, I was like, wait, I'm missing a couple of the power moons, and I was like, oh, maybe it's the darker side of the moon, you know? Those power moons I didn't, like, fully complete 100%. And then I remembered, I'm like, oh, yeah, the darker side of the moon is, in fact, like, a very hard area in the game compared obviously to like the other kingdoms in that game. Yo, can we just relax? Okay, Cheep, can we just relax here? Oh my god. Okay, whatever. You know, if I keep rewinding every time I lose an item, that's actually gonna be so annoying. So I gotta just like relax with it. I also like how when Mario swims in this game, he swims like fast. Oh! Or notice how big Mario's belly is. It like protrudes so much. I always wondered why. I mean, maybe, you know, this is pre-carb era where, you know, he was just downing carbs left, right, and center. You know, I get it, Mario. Pasta's amazing. I love pasta. You know, it's not as satiating as, like, you know, other foods. You can eat like a nice, delicious pasta meal for dinner, and then find yourself like hungry within a couple of hours. And it's true, you know, somebody had told me that, like, oh, pasta doesn't like fill you up, you know what I'm saying? Like, anytime like we'd have pasta over, or pasta when they would be ah! God, I hate this Cheep, you know, now out of spite I gotta kill him. Oh, spikes. Oh, and of course there'd be a Cheep. Just turn him into some fish sticks. No. Okay, perfect. Oh, and more of these guys. Okay, cool. All right, let's get that. Let's get to that 101 up. But as I was saying, anytime we would have this person over for dinner, they would always, you know, say, "Oh, pasta's not real food." And then it never clicked with me. And then I'm like, "Oh, okay, I get it now. I see your point." You know, you eat a nice, delicious bowl of pasta, you're not gonna feel satiated. Maybe unless the pasta has, like, you know, protein in it. Not shrimp, though. You gotta eat it with, like, something other than shrimp, like chicken or beef. For those of you who've never had ground beef with pasta, that hits. It's like having meatballs with pasta, except, you know, it's just mixed all in the pasta, which is really nice. So, you know, don't go saying ew until you've actually tried it, you know? You gotta try it at least before you can make a judgment. Oh boy, this one's surrounded by a moat of ice. Oh, look at that. It's surrounded by a moat of ice, and here we are doing a cloud level. Like, how does that even make sense, bro? Like, the outer world doesn't really depict what the level's gonna be. It makes absolutely no sense, but you know what? It's all good. Oh, bro! Hold on, I got scared. I was looking at that thingy, which I actually don't know what it's called. Hold on, I gotta actually look it up. Let's take a look since we got the wiki here. You know I'm not cool. I'm not like Scott the Woz. I could tell you all the enemies. They're called Fire Chomp. That's what they're called. Obviously, they're called Fire Chomp. Duh. I'm a Nintendo YouTube channel and I don't even know the basic name of a Fire Chomp. What is this? I should just retire right now. You know, I'm definitely that Nintendo fan that's like, you know, I'm a Nintendo fan, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not like a super hardcore Nintendo fan. Like, I would say more, I'm a Mario fan for sure. Mario, Zelda fan. Like, even with Pokemon, I like can't really say I'm a big Pokemon fan. Like, when I was younger for sure, I definitely put in so many hours into like Fire Red, Pokemon Platinum, Pokemon, I would just say, yeah, Fire Red and Pokemon Platinum. I mean, I did play like several of the Pokemon games on my channel, but oh, like Pokemon White and Black. Oh, that was my thing. White and Black 2 as well. Oh man, that was a really good time. That Unova era. Oh man, absolutely lovely time, man, in history. But when it after pretty much like, you know, Generation 6, I fell off. I just completely lost interest in the Pokemon games. I think the last 2 games that I bought were like, I mean, I didn't buy both. I never usually buy like 2 Pokemon games at a time. I'll just buy 1. So I think I bought Pokemon Moon and I still have it sealed. A sealed copy, brand new, of Pokemon Moon, which is crazy. I wonder if it'll be worth anything at some point in the future. Not that I buy things for the sake of like, or with the intention of like selling them. Ooh, no, 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 no. See, that one mistake could have cost me my power up, and I'm not about to do that. Oh, no, no siree, boo, no siree, no siree. Oh no, I was a little too quick with it. Okay, okay, okay. There we go. All right, we're good. Oh, nice clutch. Saved myself at that last moment. All right, well, what else do we got here? We got, obviously, it's gonna be Boom Boom, right? See, I gotta look it up now to see if it's Boom Boom. I mean, he was definitely much skinnier here. This is probably like his teenage years. It has to be, right? Oh, it doesn't actually have his name here. Hold on, he might be like higher up on the list. We got the, yeah, because this one actually doesn't have the name of the Koopalings on it either, unless they're like all the way at the top. Yeah, let's see, fortress enemies. Okay, so what? It doesn't even have them on the fortress enemies. I'm assuming it's Boom Boom. What else would it be? Who else would it be more specifically? Where does this pipe take me to? I want to make sure I don't accidentally skip over any levels, you know, because I'm trying to 100% clear this on my first attempt. I'm assuming this is going to take me to like, oh, that was just a shortcut. Okay, well, oh, we don't need a, we can just, you know, we can instant transmission back to here. Oh, and look at this. See, just a random grassland level here. I'm actually pretty positive this is going to be a star. No. I was wrong. It was a Tanuki leaf. Look at that. Like, we have a random grassland level, and then we got these little creatures, which I guess are prepping you for World 7. Oh my god, bro. Come on, bro. Oh my god, bro. Like, why? Oh! 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 Yo, what? Oh my god, that thing just was following me for all of eternity. I'm not gonna let, oh my god, I'm not gonna let this guy, brother, there's no way I just let that happen 3 times in a row. No, come on, bro. Alright, come on. We're not gonna let you do that to me. Okay, come on, this is it. Yes, alright, perfect. Let's go back here. I want to see what those little clam thingies are called. Those clam things are called nipper plant. They're miniature white piranha plants. They're called nippers. God, I hate nippers. I'd rather deal with a piranha plant than a nipper plant, you know, because nippers are just small and annoying, and they jump, and you can't like jump on their heads. Oh, we got the little octopus squid thingy, the bloopers. Did I really just call it an octopus squid thingy? Bro, I need to stop. Obviously, it's a blooper, man. Duh. Or a squid. It's one of those things. These things obviously came back in other 2D Mario games. Just as annoying in this game as they are in the modern games. And then we have this giant Cheep Cheep. He lets out a baby Cheep Cheep from his mouth, and then he can also eat you up. So you gotta be careful as to not get eaten up by him. You know, let me just make sure that's what they're called. I gotta make sure they're called Blooper Nanny. Blooper Nanny is a blue. Hold on. I gotta get that. I gotta get that three stars again. Nice. Okay, so it's called a blooper nanny is a blooper with baby bloopers. While she begins to glow, her kids will form a circle around her and radiate outwards. More babies appear to replace the ones she's lost a few seconds later. Other than this, they behave just like regular bloopers. Blooper nanny. They should call her blooper mommy. If she's the mommy of these baby bloopers, then obvious. What? Brother, how did I'm so confused. See, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to do something cool like that, you know, like spin, grab, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, mess his life up. Okay, here, we're gonna, see, he's smart. He waits for me. Okay. Oh, I see what you're trying to do there. Okay. Oh, bro, come on, get in there. There we go. So annoying. Oh, and also the giant Cheep Cheep, they're called Big Bertha. Bro, that does make sense. Their name is Big Bertha. I actually do recall that being called Big Bertha. I remember, yeah, referencing that many years ago in my original playthrough. Okay. Ooh, no. Okay, there you go. Nice. Ah! Nope, you can't do that. That's not good enough. Nope, that's not good enough either. Oh, God, bro, 3 times in a row? There we go, finally. Wow. Crazy, man. And then we have the boos that are like glide on platforms or like stretch out on platforms. They're called Stretch. Rocky Wrench. So they're not Monty Moles. They're called Rocky Wrench. The little things on the fortresses. Hammer Brother, Boomerang Brother, and Fire Brother. All of the brothers are in this game. Please do not tell me Buster Beetle's in this level. I do not want to see Buster Beetle's face ever again. And I know that's a lot. I'm going to be asking for too much because he's definitely going to be coming back. There's no way that was it. So this is it. Stretch. Oh, I kind of had a feeling we would be meeting him. I had that feeling. And lo and behold, he's here. Ooh, you know, that was actually dumb. I knew I wasn't supposed to do that. I knew I was supposed to do this, but it was just like last second impulse that just like caused me to do it out of panic. Oh my God, whatever, man. Why don't they put hidden items around the castle for me? That would be lovely to do. So there is going to be a castle later on in this game. I'm not sure if it's in World 7 or if it's in World 8. I'm pretty sure it's in World 8. It's actually a fortress. And it's like one of the hardest levels in the game. Not that it's difficult to beat, it's just difficult to figure out what you need to do in order to beat it. That was another epic boss fight against Boom Boom. Here, I need to like open up a new tab real quick and make sure. Boom Boom is a reoccurring boss in Super Mario Bros. 3, appearing in fortresses of each world to guard the path to the Koopalings. I knew it, bro. It was Boom Boom. It's like, you know, when you look at a photo of yourself when you're younger, you look slim, you look smaller in every aspect. That's exactly what I see in that Boom Boom. Yo, it's a mole. This is the origin of Monty Moles. These moles look just like, this mole looks just like a Monty mole, if you ask me. I got you, Toad. Don't worry, Toad. I got you. Okay, I had to click A. I didn't even realize He wasn't gonna let me go until I actually clicked the A button. And once again, a castle leading me to a fortress. But again, it makes sense. It's like everything begins on the castle ground. And all the fortresses obviously are gonna be auto scroll levels here. I never liked these levels where you had to like jump on the little wrench to get you across. As a kid, I always would use the P leaf on these levels because I just thought they were so hard. I'm like, bro, I was definitely incompetent in a lot of ways. Definitely had some issues, man, growing up. Which I'm realizing now. I'm like, you know, there's a lot of things I just didn't excel at. I was actually pretty bad at. And I'm like, okay, it makes sense. I was definitely a little bit slow. I was on the slower side for sure as a kid. Which is totally fine. I mean, you know, I'm not blaming myself. It happens to the best of us. Okay, I gotta go quick. There we go. Come on, something good. Something good. There we go. Ooh. Okay. We got Rocky Wrench. Rocky Wrench is here? Surprisingly, none so far. It's actually been a smooth cruise ride. Wow, and I wonder which Koopling we're gonna be fighting today. It's going to be Lemmy? Lemmy's the guy with the balls, right? Lemmy is definitely the one with the balls. Oh my god, brother. I do not want your balls. Please. Leave your balls out of me. I do not want to touch your balls. Let me make sure. Yeah, it is Lemmy. See, I knew it. Because Larry's the guy with the blue mohawk. I know this, obviously. I'm not saying it is like, oh, I have it figured out. I had to double check because, you know, sometimes I say, like, you know, on the podcast that I did like a couple weeks ago, where Scott the Woz was on the podcast. Yo, look at this guy. Yo, he looks like a teddy bear. That's so funny. He actually looks like an animal. He does have a very nice mustache, I'll say that. For sure. Yo, Todd, I am so happy that your king is back. Looking swell, and Princess Peach once again hooking it up with the P-Wing. Amazing. And a perfect clear. Amazing. Yes, I'll save the game. So, the other week, when Scott the Woz was on the podcast, like I said, put together a little trivia for him. You can go watch it on the podcast channel if you want to watch it. There's timestamps, so it's all segmented, which is pretty cool. You know what? I actually should have probably jumped into this with an item. So you know what? Let me go ahead and use one of my many plethora of items here. And one of the questions that I asked him was to name me 3 enemies from Super Mario Bros. 2 US Edition that were 3 enemies from Super Mario Bros. 2 US Edition that became a staple series in the Super Mario series in general. And I had written 5 enemies down, right? And one of the answers he gave me was Ninja. And I remember Ninja being in the game, right? But for some reason when he said Ninja, I didn't have it written down. So I was like, okay, I'll give you Ninja, because I very well do remember Ninja being in the game. And then he was like, wait, is Ninja even in the game? And then it made me like doubt myself, because I'm like, wait a second, is Ninja in the game? And I'm like, actually, wait, let me look it up. I actually don't know. And yeah, he started laughing, and I ended up looking at him. I'm like, yeah, he was in the game. I'm like, see, I should have just doubled down saying, yeah, he is in the game, because I do remember him being in the game. Even though like New Super Mario Bros. 2 is a game that I have not played as much, like this game, obviously. You know, it's something that does stand out. Like that game, it's like I remember a lot of it, you know, even though I haven't had much time with it. But he ended up guessing the enemies. I think he ended up guessing Sniff It. I don't think it was Shy Guy. He didn't want to put Shy Guy down. Sniff It, Bob-Ombs, and then there was another enemy. I actually don't remember what was the final enemy that he ended up guessing. Well, technically the final enemy that he ended up guessing was in fact was in fact the Bob-Omb, which is the one he was stumped at. Oh, okay, hold on. Oh, nice. See, that was actually clutch. Epic save right there. All right, here, let's get this star real quick. Nope. See, it's because they put the pipe here. They kind of sabotage you because they don't want you to get a nice running start. If you're on a streak to get the 3 stars, they don't want you to get it. No. Oh my god. Come on. This is so annoying. I want the star. I want the star. You're not about to steal this moment from me, okay? You are gonna give me the star, okay? So there we go. Finally. Gosh, took forever. It's so annoying. It was Birdo. Actually, I think it was Birdo, Birdo, Sniffit, and Bob-omb. I'm pretty sure it was Birdo. I honestly don't even remember what he guessed. I think it was also might have been Pokey. It was either Birdo or Pokey. I do recall Sniffit though. But that's a game that I definitely want to play. I think I started a playthrough of that back in like 2018, and then I never finished it. Or maybe I did finish it. I honestly don't remember, but it was a multiplayer playthrough. I don't even remember what I was playing it on. I think it might have been the Wii U. And every time I think about my Wii U, I get so sad because my Wii U got stolen. My Pokemon cards got stolen, like the same like run. You know, somebody that I guess you could say I trusted in our home, and they were one time visiting our house, and it was when my ankle was broken and I was like moving my stuff to oh my gosh, there's no way. What? Okay, I'm literally trapped in here with the paratrooper. No. I was at the time moving to LA, so I had my brothers helping me with like packing my stuff and shipping it off. And one of the times, you know, there was just there was somebody, I'm not gonna name who, but they were in our house, and you know, he was really kind of just not a good person, honestly. And I guess he saw my Pokemon cards in my Wii U and realized that, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of helpless. I'm not gonna be able to protect them. So he's like, you know what? Let me just steal them. Let me just take them with me. You know what I'm saying? I was like sitting down in the basement while my brothers were like packing stuff up from my room and then driving to the postal service or postal office just to get them shipped out. So he just had the ability to free roam and just loot whatever he wanted. And that's the story. That's how it goes. So I lost my Wii U and I had so many games downloaded on it. And it took me a while before I connected the dots. Like, I just thought it got lost, but I'm like, it's very specific that the Wii U and my nice first edition Pokemon cards just got lost like that. You know, they never made it to LA, and I'm like, what? How? And then it all made sense. Well, it was because they were legit stolen. And then I was talking to one of my brothers about it, like saying how like it's just crazy how I lost these things. And then he was telling me how Munching Orange, because he was also our roommate at the time, he was like, he remembers vividly when, you know, all this was going down in the house. Hold on, you know what? I could have also got an additional star here, which I'm gonna do real quick. Yeah, boy. You know what? I'll take that. Yeah, Lakitu. Actually, you know what? I'm pretty sure I can chain this star here too. Oh, no, it's a P-switch. Okay. Whatever, you know, that would have been an easy amount of one-ups. Oh my god, Lakitu, bro, his aim is impeccable! There's no way he aims like that, bro! I hate Lakitu so much in this game. You're so annoying, dog. Just like leave me alone. Brother, let me breathe. Like, I get it. You think you're cool riding your stupid cloud, okay? Just leave me alone, dog. I'm already pissed because I'm thinking about this Wii U, bro. Every time I think about my Wii U and my Pokemon cards, I can just feel my blood pressure going up, dude. It's so infuriating, you know. Just somebody just they think they're so slick, dog. They just go into your house when you trust them and they just take it, bro. But anyways, Munching Orange had apparently told my brother, he's like, oh yeah, I actually remember X and so person, they were in Sully's room looking at that stuff, and you know, and then it finally clicked. I'm like, oh my god, it definitely has to be this person, because this person would brag about how they would steal from Walmart, and you know, they would just like put stuff in their car and just walk out without checking it out. And they normalized this stuff. Like, they didn't feel bad. They would jip people off, and you know what I'm saying, it was just like, you know, I guess that's what I get for associating with people like that. you know, karma, it's bound to bite you in the ass, right? So it's whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just things, material things. I don't know how much my Pokemon cards would have been worth. I mean, probably, I would like to think thousands of dollars. I literally had like first and second edition Pokemon cards literally from the early 90s, whenever they started like releasing, like mid 90s when they started releasing these Pokemon cards. My mom, she's the one that would actually collect them, and then she would put everything in binders. Well, she would obviously put them in like card sleeves and then binders, and that's it. So like these were like pretty much untapped. When I say untapped, I mean like untouched, unaltered by man, by little children fingers. And she did a really good job preserving them. And I remember on my birthday, I think it was my 25th birthday, I was visiting her and she had like the binders. And I was like, yo, this is a really sick binder of Pokemon cards. Can I have it? And she was like, sure, take it. And I was like, oh, sweet. You know, I'm gonna take really good care of this stuff. Actually, no, it wasn't for my it wasn't for my 25th birthday. It was obviously earlier. I think it was like my 23rd birthday or something. But I just remember asking her for it, and she said, yeah, you could take them. And I knew like, okay, I was gonna like save them, either keep them for myself, make videos on them, or at some point try to grade them and sell them, you know. And then like whatever money I earned from it, I was obviously gonna give it back to my mom as a gift, you know, because at the end of the day, they were her Pokemon cards. I mean, if I made like a lot of money, you know, I split it 50-50. Like, let's say one of these cards was worth $1 million, bro. Obviously, I'm gonna buy myself a house with it, but I'm also buying her a house with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, sharing is caring, you know. Sharing is caring, but unfortunately, yeah, that got lost. I'm sure the dude probably sold them, made some money off of them, probably enjoyed my games off of my Wii U. And the thing is too, like originally, like, okay, so I have like this shelf back there. That's where all my games are. And if you look at this shelf, you'll see that they're pretty much all just Wii U and 3DS titles. So back in the day when I first started making videos, I was obsessed with physical collections. I only physically collected games, you know. I wanted to have like all my games in physical format on a shelf. I never liked downloading games because I was like a physical elitist. And, you know, I realized I just prefer honestly having all my games preloaded on my console. It's just easier to like load things up instead of having to like switch cartridges out or like bring a separate container with your games in them if you're traveling. You know, it's just preference at the end of the day. I'm not shaming people who like to buy the physical copy of anything. No, I mean, like, there's a lot of collectors out there. I was literally even having a discussion about this with like the Nintendo podcast crew in the Discord. You know, people are like, ew, you download your games, you don't buy them. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. I download my games. I like downloading my games. Like, I only have like but a handful of Switch games, you know, like, it's just my personal preference. But anyways, I have all my Wii U games and all of my 3DS games are pretty much physical copies. There was a period though, at the end of the Wii U cycle. When I say the end, I mean like the last couple years of the Wii U, where I started downloading all of the games and I stopped buying like physical copies. So, and obviously, you know, like the emulated games and whatnot, like, oh man, when I say emulated, I'm like talking about like, you know, the virtual console stuff. You know, I think Partners in Time. No, Partners in Time I definitely did not play. I didn't play any of the Mario Wii. I played Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga actually for the first time on the channel with the Wii U virtual console, which was pretty nice. But yeah, I mean, I had Wind Waker HD. Like, come on, bro. Wind Waker HD. I had like literally Paper Mario Color Splash. I had so many games on my Wii U, and I'm just like so upset that they're gone, because I'm just like, bro, in order for me to like get those games, well, it's impossible to get those games back. Like, if I'm way too late with it. I should have just bought a new 8GB Wii U, and I should have immediately just downloaded those games again after signing into my eShop account, and yeah, had them. But unfortunately, I didn't do that. I don't know why. Honestly, I'm quite dumb for not doing that. That probably should have been the first thing that I did to regain all of my Wii U games, but yeah, I guess, yeah, it's a mistake, a regret that I'll have to live with for the rest of my life. And that's why I don't like thinking about Wii U. Anytime I think of my Wii U, that's like what comes to my mind. Anytime I see people trading Pokemon cards, I just get so mad because I'm just like, bro, like, I'm not mad at those guys. I'm just like mad at the fact that I had a nice binder with a good Pokemon card collection that literally just got stolen from me by some bro. I wish that dude bad karma. I truly do wish him bad karma. Like, one day I was so mad, I messaged him on Snapchat, and then I was like, it was like an aggressive message, like, I know what you did. I know you stole my Pokemon cards. And, you know, I told my brother about it, and my brother was just like, you know, he's like, nah, bro, I don't think you should message him that. You should probably delete it. Bro, what's going on? Why can't I get the dang thingy? Oh my gosh, bro. Bruh, I cannot believe it took me that many attempts to get the dang star. Like, how in the world? I genuinely cannot believe it took me that long to get the freaking star, bro. Like, that I rewinded it like at least a dozen times before I finally got the star. It's quite crazy. Anyways, oh, okay, well, that was a moving piranha plant. I didn't think I wouldn't be able to do that level, but whatever. But anyways, what I was saying was that, like, you know, when all this went down, I messaged my brother about it, and then he told me, you know, you shouldn't accuse him of stealing it unless you have like concrete evidence. You can't just like base it off of like somebody's word, you know. And then I thought about it, I'm like, you know, that is true. It's not usually like me to just assume that somebody did something wrong unless I have like concrete evidence. And with this situation, I didn't actually have concrete evidence. It was just an assumption, but an assumption that was based off of somebody's testimony of them saying they saw, and my testimony of them, you know, obviously announcing, or I guess admitting to theft in the past. So I felt like, yeah, like I had the ability to, like, you know, have that opinion, but at the same time, I'm just like, whatever, you know, I'm gonna just let God do his thing, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna just retract the message, and if that person truly did steal my Pokemon cards and my Wii U, then, you know, justice will come. Justice will be served by God. You know, I'm not gonna stress about it. I ain't gonna tweak out about it. And again, I don't know what that justice is gonna look like. It's not like I have any relationship with this person in my life anymore to have tabs on them, you know? So it is what it is. I just kind of have to accept it for what it is, and, you know, just be more mindful moving forward of like who I let into my home and just like everything. Also, okay, so in this level, it's like a trick level, so I mean, as you can see, there's really not a whole lot going on here. There's literally no enemies. You just have to find the secret exit, because there is a secret exit, and the secret exit will actually be hidden after you activate this P-switch right here. So here, what we gotta do is we gotta, you know, just gotta collect all these coins, because why not? Oh yeah, look at this. I'm fulfilling my pilot dream. Okay, so I gotta do that again. If it's possible, actually. Hold up. Wait, hold up. Did I screw up? Oh, hold up. I actually think I screwed up, guys. Wait a second. Wait. What does this door do? Hold up. I might have screwed up, honestly. I think I was supposed to like move a little bit faster, but I got greedy trying to collect all those 1-ups. So annoying, bro. See, I always remember using the P-switch in this level. I don't know why I didn't use the P-switch. I actually could have collected a lot more 1-ups. But whatever, it's fine. At least I'll save it. I should definitely start using them now, because I mean, we're getting very close to the end of the game, so I might as well start taking advantage of all of my rewards right now. Yes, I'll save the game. You know what, we could do another one of these. Why not? You know, this is a quick, easy lives. Help me get to like a 100. Ooh, wait, there's a lucky 3. I want the lucky 3. The 3 gives you 10. Ooh. Ooh. No. That was a little too soon. Okay, here we go. Oh, of course. I actually knew I accidentally clicked it on. Okay, here we go. Come on. There we go. All right, one more. Took forever, man. Took forever. You can go above 100. Okay, well, at least I fulfilled my wish of getting 100 done. And we could even take it another step further. Now we're at the diamonds. So it just shows you like all the shapes on a deck of cards. Oh, this is a really cool level. So this is a level where you go reverse, left or right, and it'll just take you to the opposite side. They should have done more levels like this. And this level honestly always gave me Haze Maze vibes because of this platform thingy right here. And then obviously, you know, being like inside of like a basement. It looks like we're inside the basement of like a castle of some sort. But I think like that's why I really loved Mario and Luigi, and also, wait, what? Hold up. Oh, Mario and Luigi and Super Mario Bros. 3. Wait, hold on, what's good? Wait, what? Hold up, was I oh, I'm so confused. Okay, that's silly. I'm supposed to use this? It's not moving though. That's so weird. Okay, am I supposed to like go in that pipe? I'm so confused, man. I'm actually so confused. I'm so confused. Maybe like go all the... Oh, I see. You know, now that I think about it, I had a copy of Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga when I was in Egypt, but then I honestly don't remember like what happened to it. Like, I don't know if I traded it for something. I mean, I don't recall trading it for anything, but there definitely was a period at the end of our journey in Egypt, like where I didn't have the game. So I mean, I obviously must have traded it, which is a shame because Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga is like my 3rd favorite game of all time. Top 3 favorite games of all time for sure. I wonder if maybe this is like an easier way. There we go. Actually, nice. But I remember in Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, they had a place in Woohoo University where you could see like all the different blocks that appeared in Mario games, and there was the red cap block from Mario 64, and I remember just like, oh my god, I can't believe they referenced Mario 64 in this game, and it was just like a huge deal to me, you know, because it was like the closest thing that I had to Mario 64 was just being able to see that, like, you know, so any references that I would see in games that referenced Mario 64 was just like a massive W for me as a kid, because that was again just like my absolute favorite game of all time. It's funny because now it's not even in my top 3 favorite games. It's definitely top 10 favorite games, I could say, purely off the nostalgia factor. I mean, and the gameplay on that game is just impeccable. Like, no matter how many times I played Mario 64, I feel like I can enjoy it. Not the DS one. The DS one, I did a playthrough on it recently. I don't know if you guys have seen that playthrough or not, but it was a playthrough that I went into it with the intention of completing it 100%. And of course, that would happen to me, bruh. Like, why didn't you just, like, you know what I'm saying? There we go. It's really hard to do it in this game to, like, you know, slide. Okay, perfect. Come on, there we go. Alright, come on. I gotta just focus on this, guys. I'm sorry. Come on. That was horrible. Okay, whatever. Come on, there we go. But it was a game that I thought I would enjoy more than the original experience of Mario 64. However, when I actually played it again recently, I realized that the original is far better in every way than the remake. Because the remake was not, it's like, obviously the game was designed for it to be played on the N64, not a DS. I think had they made it on the 3DS at first, oh, how lovely, I win. Any way I do this, I win. Amazing. But the way it was designed for the DS with the D-pad, just the controls feel really bad, and I think that's what makes the game horrible. By playing it on a 3DS, it still doesn't change the way the game feels because it's already too late. It was designed for the Nintendo DS. Although it should have been designed for the 3DS the same way the game was originally designed for the N64 with the analog stick. So, yeah, I mean, Ocarina of Time 3D, that game is absolutely goated on the 3DS, and I would only play the 3DS version moving forward in my life. Like, I don't ever see myself playing the N64 version when the 3DS one exists, because of just the visual enhancements, and it plays like butter on the 3DS. Absolute goated experience, and also a game that I played recently on the channel. If you guys haven't checked it out, definitely go check it out. Okay, I get it, bro. You just like spitting that ball, bro. I get it. I got you. All right. Oh, we gotta watch out for these creatures. I hate when they do this to me. See, they stress me out. They stress me out. Okay, well, at least we got both of these guys. Okay, come on. As long as you're hitting... Oh, no. Come on, dude. Why would you do that to me? I guess there's gonna be a little muncher. Nope, no munchers there at the end. Awesome. I got worried there. I thought there was gonna be a little muncher at the end. Fortunately, there wasn't. Anyways, I've been seeing all this talk online about Ocarina of Time 3D coming to Switch, remake. I don't know. I think people just need to let it go. I don't think that's gonna happen. It would be nice. I was actually really hyped to see like maybe that happening, but it's I don't think it's gonna happen. It's funny, as of today, I don't know why it would even be funny, but as of the day this video hopefully comes out, it should be on a Tuesday, the day of a Nintendo Indie Direct, and I just saw like the internet freaking out. Not everybody, I mean, it's always interesting with these things, like there's like a group of people who freak out because it's not like a regular Direct, and then another group of people who don't really care. There's like, okay, well, yeah, it's just it's another Nintendo Direct, more content, because a lot of people want the regular Direct. And I just remember a lot of people thinking that Ocarina of Time 3D was going to be remade, same way Luigi's Mansion 2 was remade for Nintendo Switch, which I think was an incredible remake, a game that I actually want to play on the channel, and I'm glad I didn't play it. I mean, it's not that I was gonna play it anyways before the remake even had come out, but now that I'm like doing all these long plays on the channel, I was like, well, obviously I want to do a long play of Luigi's Mansion 3. I already did one of Luigi's Mansion 1, of course, on the 3DS. I actually really like the Luigi's Mansion 3DS version. I think it's like better than the GameCube one. And then it's funny that after I did that one, they came out with the original OG GameCube version of Luigi's Mansion on Nintendo Switch Online. If anything, they should have just given that one like a remake similar to Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. You know, brought the 2DS. Well, I mean, I guess it technically already had a remake, but still, it would be nice to play that game in widescreen, you know, on a console, versus playing it in the original format. That's asking for too much. But if Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask definitely got that treatment, I would be so happy. Because you can't go back to playing them on N64 once you've played them on 3DS. It just doesn't hit the same, you know? There we go. To this, I hate the star stuff. I'm not doing it anymore. Now that I have 100 1-ups, I'm actually good. I'm not doing the star stuff anymore. I'm just gonna get whatever I can get, and I'll be happy with it. Oh, it's this fortress. Or this fortress is actually kind of annoying. Well, actually, no, hold up. I'm trying to think. I don't think it's this fortress. I'm actually confusing it with a different fortress. Oh, whatever. Take that invincibility frame and go with it. Yeah, boy. Okay, so this is gonna be interesting. Ooh, clutch. Alright, so this one. Ooh, no! I could do it. I could do it. I could do it. I could do it. Okay, actually, that's how I was supposed to do. I was supposed to bait him down. And then. Oh, no! Okay. Okay. There we go. This is not the castle that I was thinking about. I think the castle that I'm thinking of is a World 8 castle. Yeah, I need to go back. I actually need to just watch out for these dry bones. I need to let them make their way through. Hello, hello, dry bones. Wait, wasn't there? You had a. Yep, I knew it. You had a friend coming with you, so let him make the journey. Oh my god, that's actually so dumb. Okay, okay, well, I'll let him do his thing. No, no, okay. Whatever, I had to. There's just too much going on. Thank God for this rewind feature, bro. It would have been more challenging, of course, to have to do this like completely authentic. But it does take some pressure off knowing that I do have the rewind feature. Like, I'm not as stressed, obviously, going into it. I feel like, you know, I would have had to meticulously, you know, practice these levels and know every little minute detail before jumping into it, knowing exactly where all the little booby traps are. Whereas with the rewind feature, it's like, okay, cool, you know, we'll just jump into it like this, whatever, it's all good. It's not a big deal. Anyways, these levels are short and sweet, you know, just use the star. I have the star for this reason, to be able to, just cheese through the level. Oh, Yoshi! He's turned into a Yoshi? This is probably the best king transformation ever. He's not equipped to be a Yoshi, but I would definitely want to stay as a Yoshi for sure. I mean, I guess Peach would capture him and force him to do some labor work for her, you know, since she's the queen of the Mushroom Kingdom. So I understand his hesitation of wanting to remain as a Yoshi. You know, Princess Peach is merciless. Anyways, this is an interesting looking airship. It's very slender. You know, it definitely has a lot of wood shaved off of it. This has to be Ludwig's. I think Ludwig is the final Koopa. I'm almost positive I didn't encounter Ludwig yet. Please be a good item. A fire flower, nice. I've yet to defeat a Koopling as well using a fire flower. I feel like every Koopling I've defeated, well, every Koopling I have defeated has been by combat. By head combat, by jumping combat. Yo, Mario, you gotta lose some weight, brother. That Koopa's it's a little dense. You know, those extra pixels can hurt you, man. The fire and whatnot, I'm just looking out for you, my brother. Okay, we gotta get rid of these moles. Bro, these things literally spawn instantly. You cannot get rid of them, no matter how many times you take them out. And I remember as a kid, I'd be so annoyed. I'm like, every time you take it out, it just respawns instantly. So you can never truly get rid of them. They're like ants. You can't get rid of ants fully. You need, even an exterminator can get rid of them for a time, but somehow they'll find their way back in your house. You know? Ants are just ants. Okay, okay, okay. Woohoo! So using a Tanuki leaf would have also been easy. I remember also using like pea flowers in levels like this all the time, because I would just try to cheese my way through it. I honestly would find these levels difficult as a kid for some reason. Okay, let's see, let's see. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, that was horrible. I don't know. That was just a misclick of a finger right there. I just didn't jump properly. Okay, I think we're good. Finally, we are at the end of the castle, or of the airship. Let's see who we got. It is Ludwig. Look at that. It's Ludwig's great-grandfather. That's why he has white hair. Silver-haired Ludwig. It's shiny Ludwig. Okay, well, I'm not about to meet the king looking like a baby. Oh my god. Okay, well. Oh, oh. There we go. We gotta meet the king looking presentable, Ludwig. Give me this. Give me the magic wand. Give it to me. Let's save this Yoshi and move on to the final world of the game. World number 8. Oh, look at him. He looks like a Viking. He actually looks so cool here. Oh, splendid, splendid. I'm back to my old self again. Thank you so much. Here is a letter from the princess. Let's read it. Let's see what it says. I mean, it's obviously going to say the same thing, right? No. Yo, I kidnapped the princess while you were running around. She's here in my castle if you dare to try and rescue her. King of the Koopas. Before he goes by Bowser. Let's do it. Perfect clear. It's easy to like not get a perfect clear in this world because you can accidentally skip over one of those munchers. But here we are, guys. The final world in the game. We have a tank, which is the first tank in the game. I actually really like these levels. Look at the background. Very ominous vibes. And these levels, I mean, you could easily cheese through them using a P-Wing, which I'm not gonna do because, like, I'm not that cheap. I actually enjoy the hustle and the bustle of dodging all the different projectiles that are being tossed at you. I always enjoyed this even as a kid. It's very exhilarating, you know. There's gonna be these wrench moles here. We have like bob-ombs. We have little bonsai balls. They're not called bonsai balls. I just made that up. I mean, they're like cannonballs. They could be just cannonballs. It's a bunch of everything, man. A bunch of everything. And then at the end of each one of these like fortresses or like tanks and airships, I believe we're gonna be fighting like a bro, like a boomerang bro or a fire bro. One of them. I think that's it for Boom Boom. Boom Boom only shows up in fortresses, not these other extra stuff. You know, he's like, you know, leave that to the Fire Brothers. The Fire Brothers got this. They're a band of brothers. They could take care of this dirty business. You know, let them put their... Let Bowser get his money worth out of them. Yeah, so it's a boomerang, bro. Hey, what's up, boomerang? And once you take them out, they still stay going. Like, the boomerang just keeps flinging. So we're gonna be using the P-switches in this world, for sure. Yeah. Sure. I'll save. What else we got? Now we have an airship. Oh, no. This isn't an airship. This is a boat. We're on water, everybody. This is nice. I just love the vibes of these levels. Okay, yeah, well, I obviously don't know how I'm supposed to get that. Like, that's actually ridiculous. So I'm not even gonna bother getting it. We're just gonna skip over it. I think it's meant for you as a baby, like as baby Mario, to like pick it up. Or technically it would be regular Mario, right? Like, this is Mario's authentic form, because if Mario has to eat... Bro, just guys, stop it. If Mario has to eat a mushroom to become Super Mario, then obviously Mario is not like this normally. He's just small. You know? He's like the Toad, it's very tiny. But maybe when he eats like a Toad head, he becomes Super Mario, and that's why the Toads revere him. They like him, because they're like, look at Mario, he's big and strong and fast and agile. That's what just hit me there? It definitely wasn't that. Yo, how did I get... God, yo, these cannonballs come out so fast. You know, we're just gonna jump in the water here. Did I sabotage myself completely? No, I didn't. Oh, no! Okay, come on. Well, I'm screwed. I had to jump there. I actually had to jump there. There we go. See, look at that. There's a perfect way to do everything. The first level, I was doing it flawlessly. Now that I'm getting into it, I'm just gonna keep restarting different segments of it. So annoying. Which is fine. I'm just more annoyed at myself that I had to even rewind. But I told you guys from the jump, there's gonna be a lot of rewinding in this playthrough, and I'm truthful to my word. Yo, you're back. I was talking all this smack about you and you decided to show up. He does fly. He has segments where he flies. I don't think I've ever shown off the flying ability. Maybe we did earlier on. I honestly wasn't paying attention for most of this playthrough. I mean, I was, but like, I'm focused on what I'm saying, that like I'm not hyper fixated on the minute details. So if he flew, he flew. If he didn't fly, it's all good. Boom Boom flies. He gets a pair of wings. I guess Kammy Koopa helped him out. If Kammy Koopa's even in this game. Hey, it's Princess Peach. Hello, Peach. So here we have a little bit of Russian roulette. These levels are actually easy. You're easily done using superstars. So a hand didn't grab me forcefully, but I went ahead and entered this level because I'm trying to get a perfect clear. We technically don't need to take these guys out, but you know what? Just because of that, bro, I'm gonna restart this, and I'm gonna literally take you out, and I'm gonna take you out too. I was trying to spare you, bro, but you had to just like, you had to ruin it for yourself. You just gotta get to the end of these levels and then go through the pipe, and then they're surprisingly gonna give you items too. And this is why, like, it's wise to use up your items if you have a lot of items at the end of the game, because you might as well, right? What are you gonna do with them pretty much once you've beaten the game? Nothing. You can't take these. You're probably not gonna be playing this game, but look at that. A hand comes and it grabs you. That's when you're forced into the level. You can't do anything about it. What just happened there? Yo, that is wild. Okay, we got this. Alright, what is it gonna be? Another Tanuki leaf? Hey, they do actually give you Tanuki leaves for each one of these segments. I think it's because they know the Tanuki leaf is the most clutch item yet. So like, you know what, let's throw Tanuki leaves on him in every single one of these segments, because he's probably gonna need them all. I remember when I was younger, there would be points in this game where I would like have no items when I made it to World 8. And it would be super stressful for me because I would need all the items that I could possibly have. No, we're not accepting that. Bro, it literally same exact thing. Oh my god, brother, there's no way. I'm not accepting this. Okay? I'm not gonna be bested by a cheap at the end of the game. I refuse to let that happen. No siree. No siree. Alright, another Tanuki leaf, awesome. We about to use a P-switch though. Should I use a P-switch in this level? Let me see what kind of level it is first. Oh, no, this one's fine. I don't need a P-switch in this one. I actually enjoy the fast side-scrolling levels. This one's actually quite exhilarating because you gotta go quick. You know? Oh, well, it would have been nice to just not lose that there, but of course this would happen. Okay, we're good. You see that? We're good. Hey. Okay. Ooh. Yo, a misclick can cost it all. Oh my god. Okay. Whatever, you can have it. You can have the freaking Tanuki leaf. What do we got? We got a hammer, bro. A boom boom again. Boom boom, you just don't stop. You don't know when to give up, dog. Come on, brother. Let's go home. Relax. Bowser's not gonna give you a raise. He's not gonna level you up. Alright, he's already given you everything that you could possibly want. So you don't have to prove your point at being his most loyal minion. Just call it a day and go home, my brother. Alright, so I think this is when World 8 actually begins. Yeah, right here. So this level, for sure, I'm definitely using a P. You know, to do this level authentically, it is kind of annoying. And I think they do expect you to use a P switch, or a P here, because as you can see, there's a P switch all the way at the top. Just hidden. I mean, you could technically reach it if you had a Tanuki leaf on and then you did like a running start. You'd be able to do it, but also there's a pipe here, and guess what? This pipe has a secret giant block, and this secret giant block contains 3 1-up mushrooms. 1, 2, and a 3. Delicious. Look how vibrant and beautiful this level area looks. There also was another one somewhere around here that took me to a giant block that contained a bear suit, or I guess a tanuki suit. But as you can see, you know, I'm showing you guys the level right here. So you got some pipes here, you know what I'm saying? We got, that's it, you know, it's just a lot of different platforming, maneuvering around different obstacles, bullet bills shooting you, jumping on pipes that have piranha plants coming out, Koopas, you know. It's for the experts. But if you were a good lad and you saved your pea suits, then you could enjoy the end of the game. Here it looks like we're on the moon, almost. I love how like there's a space atmosphere in the levels in World 8. Here we have the angry sun is back, which is weird because it's like it's not even sunny outside. They should have made it an angry moon. I don't know, that they definitely missed with that one, you know. They had the angry sun at first. You know, they should have brought it back with an angry moon. Definitely would have worked for sure. No. Of course, I wanted to get a perfect run, but you had to ruin that for me. You just had to ruin that for me. Oh, yo, see, that was clutch. That Tanuki leaf really did come in handy. Just like Super Mario 3D Land, the Tanuki leaf, I would say, is the staple item of this game, and by using it, you could essentially cheese through this game. Now, I think this might be the final castle, or fortress, I mean. This one is kind of an annoying fortress, to say the least, because, you know, there's a specific way to beating it. I don't think it requires a Tanuki leaf, but yeah, you definitely can get slumped if you don't know what you're doing, brother. Please. I didn't want to take you out, but you clearly just want to be knocked out unconscious, so I got you. I'll knock you out if that's really what will make you happy. They give you fire flowers too instead of Tanuki leaves. I don't get. I feel like Tanuki leaves would have made this so much better. But whatever, I'll take the fire flowers. You know what? Beggars can't be choosers. We just need an immunity boost. Would have been nice to just, like, you know, not get hit there. Okay, we gotta just hit these. There we go. All right, enter inside this. Oh, okay. Oh, and I forgot to tell you guys the name of this, the 7th world. It's actually called Pipe Maze. That was the name of the 7th world in the game. Obviously, there was a lot of different pipes and mazes, you know, so it only makes sense that they would call it Pipe Maze. But anyways, what you want to do here is, hold up. Actually, oh, cool. What? Yo, I really just did that? I really just slithered through that? That's actually impeccable, and I could have not gotten hit there, but my greed just took over. Anyways, once you've reached this part of the level with the thwomp, what you want, it's a very actually simple procedure. What you want to do is you want to just hit this, and then you want to literally just go into this door right here. And that's it. Once you've done that, you've pretty much made it to the end of the level. If you don't know that, and you try to like figure out where to go, you're just gonna keep running around in circles. But in reality, it's really that simple. You just have to hit the P switch and then just go a little bit further down. Oh, there we go. We got him. You would think being on the conveyor belt would have kind of threw me off trying to jump on him, but it totally worked out. I'm glad it did. I'm glad it did. Yes, please. Let's save the game. What else we got? This is just gonna be a warp pipe. That's also a warp pipe. I actually don't know which warp pipe will take me where. This might, in fact, take me back to the beginning. Because I think if you get the warp, if you somehow, yeah, if you get to that warp pipe, you could skip. No, wait a second. Hold up. I'm so confused. Maybe this is actually taking me further. There's multiple warp pipes, so I actually don't remember. Oh. Okay. So that warp pipe indeed was a skip. It was a skippable pipe. So that's not where I wanted to go. If you wanted to skip that segment, you could have just taken this pipe, the one at the top. And then it would have brought you to here, allowing you to skip level 1, 2, and the fortress. And those hand levels. So essentially 5 levels, which is quite crazy. Bringing you here to the final stretch. Now here we have another one of these these levels. They remind me of the brigade levels in Super Mario 3D World. They definitely have them in that game. Okay, whatever. I'm just gonna go. I hope they give me a good item. I do need something. I don't like being vulnerable and having nothing to protect myself with. Okay, there we go. Ooh. Ooh, I'm surprised I did not get hit there. I do like this one though, is sky atmosphere. The other ones were a little too gloomy. I think this one's just like the perfect amount of gloom. It looks like it's about to rain, but also it's not like too gloomy and dark like the other ones were, where it looked like there was just like burning smoke in the sky. That's the kind of vibe I was getting from that one. Oh no! I don't want to touch it! Okay, at least these cannonballs aren't coming out like super fast. It's the big ones that shoot out really fast. But these ones shoot out at a moderate pace. Okay, cool. Wow, that was actually pretty smooth. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna, another boom boom brother? You just don't know when to give up. The same recycled boss over and over and over again. Like, how many times have we seen this guy? How many times have I done the same exact thing? Just landing on his head before he could even react, doing anything. And that really was it. Yes, I'll save. There's just one final level after this, because none of these coins are actually levels. So, you know what? We're gonna go in with a P leaf. We're gonna go in with one of these. I wonder if it'll give me infinite P. I don't think it will give me infinite P. Nope, unfortunately not. I don't think I've used the bear suit once, which is fine. Wait, what? What happened? Oh, I guess I rewinded so far back, but man, this castle, bro, I have so many memories of this castle. I played it so many times. I literally have it memorized like the back of my hand from how many times I've played this. One thing that I remember always stood out to me and I always freaked out about was the fact that there's Bowser portraits on the wall, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like Super Mario 64, you know, it has the same Bowser on the wall portrait. And I don't know, like, that to me was just like, you know, it made me so happy. Obviously, you know, like I said, anything that referenced Mario 64 was just like a huge dopamine inducer. But yeah, if you like fly here, you could see, look at that, Bowser's face. It literally looks just like Bowser's face from Mario 64. Which is really nice, you know? Very nice, very nice. And then we got this little Thwompy here. You know, and then we can just, like, you know, slither over this way. Just like that, you know what I'm saying? And make our way inside this room, and then, you know, here we have like Bowser statues that shoot lasers. Every time I played through like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's Bowser's Castle, and then the Bowser's statues just start shooting lasers at you, I'm always thinking of this game. Like, oh my god, that's like a reference from Super Mario Bros. 3. But it very well could be like a reference to many other games, and not specifically just Super Mario Bros. 3. And then here we have, oh wait, that was it. This is Bowser's door. Oh yeah, baby. So my boy's gonna be shooting up some fireballs. And then, oh, hold on. Okay, go ahead. Shoot a fireball. Brother, no. Shoot a fireball at me and then find a place to land. Okay, well this is the landing point. Okay, go ahead. Gosh. No. I'm not gonna let you do that. Oh my gosh, see that, like, he's actually bro, see, because you gotta dodge the fire and then also give him space to like do his thing. Okay, so watch. There we go. Okay, we just gotta do it one more time. Alright. Okay, right here. I'm gonna let you do it right here, brother. I don't even care if you like take damage from me. Ooh, nah, you took nothing from me. Granted, I did rewind, so I did technically cheat. But it's not cheating. I mean, listen, this is on a Nintendo's official Nintendo Switch Online app. So they want you to use this feature. They're telling you, hey, save state if you want, rewind if you want, do what you gotta do, brother. So I'll take it. And World 8 was just simply known as Bowser's Castle. That's it. Even though only one level specifically was Bowser's Castle, the whole world is known as Bowser's Castle. Thank you. Peace has at last returned to our fair Mushroom Land Kingdom. Okay. I think the overall world is called Mushroom Land or something. We'll find out after the credits roll. The end. And here we have, the show's over, guys. That's it. The curtains have fallen. The show is over. But now we have the credit scene. I remember always beating the game just to watch the credits. Unlike other 2D Mario games, you don't actually get to play or interact with the credits. You just, well, it's not even unfortunately, you just watch them. You know, and it shows you a little preview of each world, letting you know what the world was called. So this is World 2 Desert Hill. The first one was called Grassland. Obviously, this one's gonna be called Seaside, not Sealand. Seaside. I remember as a kid like, oh well, these worlds have titles. And I remember when it came to the fourth world, I was like Tiny Huge Island, but no, it's just called Big Island. So Tiny Huge Island was obviously a new name given to that world in Super Mario 64. I don't know if it was because they didn't want it to just be similar title, or they wanted it to be the same title as like Big Island from Super Mario Bros. 3, or if they just wanted to give it a completely different name for the sake of giving it a completely different name. But either way, I was like, wow, they put Tiny Huge Island in this game. World 5 was the sky. Obviously, this is Iceland. Iced land. It's not even Iceland, because this is not Iceland. It's iced land. A land with a little bit of icedness to it. And then that's it. What? Oh, oh yeah, they gotta squeeze the other stuff in here, and then here you go. Oh, look at that. The hammer was designed for this world to take out the munchers. The baby piranha, the piranha munchers. This pipe maze, and then the final world, Bowser's Castle. Hey. Is that how it looked like on the NES? Satoru Iwata. All rights, including the copyrights of this game, scenarios, music, and program, are reserved by Nintendo. The end. Well, that was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Look at that. Clear. Perfect clear. Yes, I would like to save the game. So I got 1.7 million. It's called Mushroom World, as you can see. So once you've beaten the game, you can essentially pick any world and jump into it. Let's say we want to go into this world, you know, you can just jump straight into it with 121 lives. And, you know, you can essentially jump into any level you want. And when you clear the level out, now there's like 2 like stars on each level, but once you've cleared a level out again for a second time, you would think like the level would go clear, but in actuality it doesn't. So here, let me show you guys exactly what I'm talking about, so you guys get an understand. No, I'm not about to get bested by a freaking piranha plant in level 1, world 1. Like, what is this? You really think you're doing something to me, but you ain't. So once you clear a level out like this, and you go back into the world, overworld, as you can see, it doesn't flip with an M on it. You know, I wonder if like standing on this guy. Oh, cool. So you're not forced to battle like enemies like this. You could just hover over them and then choose them if you want. And then if you want to like go back to a different world, just simply click B, and then boom, you got the whole world right here. Anyways, guys, that will do it. Hold up, wait, I just realized Bowser's Castle doesn't have a castle. Interesting, okay. Even though there should be a castle there, but I guess if they put a castle there, it would confuse the people. Is that a good castle or a bad castle? Anyways, guys, that will do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to drop a like, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.